when I first started, I would sometimes smoke, right? But then, first of all, this new shit that they have out in Nevada is like fucking, hydroponic and shit. So you can't take more than like 3 hits, 4 hits and function.
You being a motherfucker like this.
Right, especially like, because I'm doing these shows at like, 12 in the afternoon, and I'm doing intermittent fasting, right? So I don't even eat anything in the morning. I just have coffee. So I had 2 cups of coffee, and then I'm taking a hit. And sometimes what would happen is that, and I would take the hit right like 5 minutes before recording, and so I would get fucking high as fuck like 5-10 minutes in, and I'm talking to like a professor or some person I'm meeting for the first time, right?
Right.
So I'm like, fuck, and then I'm in my head like, dude, I'm zoning out. Like, what the fuck? What did they just say? So I could only take 2 hits, but man, it's fucking good to see you, man.
I know, man. The fucking FDA, baby. The FDA. I've heard that shit.
We were, me and Chris. First of all, introduce yourself. Everybody, let them know what you're about.
So my name is Kristen Campbell. I went to Wheeling High School with this cat Hector, and we, what I do as far as my passion and my like love for life, it's kind of a hard question. I haven't 100% figured out. But what ultimately I want to, here's my goal in life, to leave this world a better place, however much so than it was when I got here.
Yeah.
So if I helped 2 people that legitimately did something like because of me, I feel like I won. Like ultimately, I don't look at the money. I don't look at the girl. I don't look at that really gives me the most joy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's that line, right? You either build or destroy. You're either consuming or creating, right? And I mean, it's good. It's good to be it's cheesy. When I was a kid, it was cheesy, but like now that I'm an adult, I'm like, dude, so many people are pieces of shit. Like, just be a positive force and influence in the world, man. Try to make your little pocket of the world better,
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think most people are pieces of shit, or is that just what it seems like because of social media?
Ooh, that's a good question. Both. I think there's a culture that breeds piece of shitness, right?
Yeah, like the
money and
trolls.
fame. Like, that's we don't have religion anymore. We don't got church anymore, right? So our religion is money and fame, right? Like, our royal family is the Kardashians. Like, keeping up with the Kardashians, I blame for like, continuing the rot of fucking American society, right? Because keeping up with the Kardashians, it's in the name, right? You're supposed to mirror these people, and you can see how like girls talk like the Kardashians. They're like, oh my god, they do that voice croak, whatever the fuck.
And the contouring with their face and all that.
Right,
weird,
and everybody's doing a dog face, and it's just like, we're so exactly. We're social animals, right? We're social animals, so we're copying each other, and it's all about, you got to watch your influences, man. You got to watch what you're feeding your brain, what you're feeding your soul. Because even though I know people like, oh, I'm enlightened, I'm woke, I listen to rap, but I don't like really follow the lyrics. No, but it's like a mantra. Like, if you're telling your shit that every fucking day in your music, it seeps in, man. It just seeps in. It's a mantra.
Now, I will say this, though. As much as that is 100% true, you see something enough, that's going to get in there to some degree. But I also believe so as a guy like me, I work on my mindset for like the last 15 years, like hardcore. I do a lot of things to work on, because everything I've ever read that from people that are successful say you got to get your mind right.
Yeah.
In its perspective. So you can't, like, for instance, the internet, Facebook, some people say it's like the worst part of the world right now, or just social media in general. And yes, there's parts of that I agree. But there's also phenomenal things about it too. So in order to do my accomplishments for my life, is to improve people, that's the best way to do it, is through social media. Yeah. And it's free entry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's a perspective. So yes, I listen to hip hop, rap, and fuck this bitch and da-da-da-da.
So do I.
But I'm not necessarily going out there killing people. You know what I'm saying?
But you just said it. You're working on your mind for the past 10, 15 years.
Right.
How many motherfuckers can say that? You asked me how many people do I think are pieces of shit. how many people you think are working on their mind for the past 10, 15 years?
Yeah,
or are they too busy working? And by the time they come home, their mind is spent and they're just going to take in garbage TV, garbage on the internet.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, for instance, dude, I've done some crazy shit to improve my mind or like, and to keep working on it.
Well, what started that? I mean, we started out by saying, I know you from high school, right? I think I met you, we were in the same study hall, and that's,
back in the day.
Yeah, dude, you
me,
were like...
you were fools, boy. We was the silliest motherfuckers in there.
And we were just gas each other, right? Like, just keep, like, you would say something ridiculous, and I would say something, try to out-top you, right? And you were just, I mean, everybody liked you, right? You were the king of the fucking school. And, but then, I haven't talked to a lot of people from Wheeling back in the day.
Well, you moved this shit too, man. You in Nevada?
Yeah, I'm in Vegas now. You got to come out here.
You got after this. You got to tell me how that happened.
Oh yeah. And anyways, so this is a weed kicking in. So I haven't seen you in a while, and then I saw you starting to do like videos, like maybe 5 years ago. When did you start doing that?
So the whole video. Okay. So here's how the whole Instagram. So that's where I kind of started, was the Instagram thing, right? But it started. So like I said, we've always been silly. You too,
ridiculous.
And I've always been
smart. I mean, you were ridiculous, but you were quick. You have a like quick mind, and you were just like, to be really funny. And I find this out, like, to be people who are the funniest, they're smart, man. They see everything, they take everything in, and then just when the moment hits, they know exactly what to say, right? And so you were always quick, but like, did you feel like there was somebody in, like, that's how I felt. There was somebody inside of you that you could only show one side of the world to, because, you were expected to be funny. You were expected to be the class clown.
Well, I've read this about people who are funny people, or a lot of comedians. It comes from trauma. A lot of people say that the funniest people go through some trauma, Yeah. And I've gone through some shit in my young adult in life, and we all have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not like special or nothing, but I've gone through some shit. And I just thought that being silly was my way of helping other people, because I probably was still fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if I can make someone else laugh, that selfishly makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So everything that I do when it comes
to... But that's such a great way to, I mean, people medicate all kinds of ways with drugs, and we've tried that.
Hey,
liquor,
which I do too.
Food, we tried that. Right, yeah, we tried all that shit. But like, we said, that we had the funniness, which is a talent too. I mean, people say you've read comedians, like, you're born funny. You can't be taught how to be funny. You're just born funny. But that's such a good way to like deal with trauma. Yeah, for me it was like, I was homeless in high school, shit like that, shit that people didn't know about, and I'm just like trying to make people laugh so I just could forget about my life. But I just wanted to add that in. But keep going.
No, and so I've always just been a fool, right? And I'm always a well-liked guy, shit like that too, right? So then Snapchat came out. Okay, Snapchat came out. And I was like one of the little older cats that started getting on it, but I thought the shit was fun. And I just got used to seeing myself in the screen.
Yeah.
And I was just totally just doing it because I'm like, oh, what is this? It's kind of cool. And then people would respond, hitting me up like, dude, you're funny. Which I've always heard, but never like on like a platform. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like one of those people.
Yeah. And they kept saying, they kept saying, you need to get your own YouTube channel. And I was like, okay, whatever. You hear that. Yeah. I've been hearing, you're a comedian. You probably heard that your whole life too. One day I came home drunk as shit. Drunk, high. I was all kind of shit. I'm on my bed. Like I like drove home. I was really drunk.
Were you with Mike McNamara? Shout out to Mike McNamara.
Shout out to Mike, man. He's my roommate.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's my fucking roommate. Yeah.
I've been following his fucking his Instagram stories when he comes out of work and he was supposed to talk shit about society and shit.
Yeah, he's
during the riots. I was like, damn.
To be honest, you might want to. He's hardcore in the politics. You might want to get him like.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching his stories, like, and he'll go for like 10, 15 minutes on something.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about him is, before the pandemic started, he might have been the most democratic human being I've ever met.
Really?
The most Obama guy I've ever met, ever. So this is what happened. I want to go back to the story about me in a second. But so in the beginning of the pandemic, remember all the conspiracies about QAnon and all the
like what exactly? I've heard of them. I've heard them all.
Okay, so like okay, that's true. But like how they're all pedophiles and shit.
Yeah. And then
like, so we're all
how the Democratic elite and how the the people in Hollywood like are drinking the blood of children to stay young and all that shit.
Adrenochrome. Yeah. So, and I've always been a little bit of conspiracy guy. I've always been like, some of this shit just, I'm not gonna go crazy, but like some of it makes sense to a degree, So we're all in the pandemic. We're all at the crib, right? And I got nothing. I'm literally, because at the time
we're all in the pandemic.
Yeah. So I'm at the crib just looking on my phone, just wasting time, because what else are we doing for the first like 3-4 months, right?
Yeah.
And
we just froze, right? We just froze.
Everybody just in the house.
Yeah.
So I started seeing some really crazy shit about Podesta and Epstein and all this. I'm like, okay, this shit's a little odd. So then I showed Mike. Mind you, he's the biggest Obama guy.
Like what? Saw shit about Podesta, like what?
Yeah, like, Podesta, I forgot his last name, his first name. But
no, Mike or something like that. He was the campaign manager for Hillary Clinton, right?
So some of the artwork in his house is extremely disturbing. And this is known fact. You can Google it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like really weird shit about kids hanging up in his, like artwork that you wouldn't expect any kind of regular human being to have. Like kids in bathtubs, half naked. It's like really weird shit. And this is all facts. This is not bullshit. Right? So I'm like...
I seen a picture of like Dr. Phil's house.
Is it gross?
Well, he just... The decor looks like if Satan came back in 2020 and had a lot of money. Like the house he would build. It's like that decor is kind of like, man, what you're trying to intimidate motherfuckers for, man? Goddamn.
Right. There's this one scene, and then there's this one picture he has. There's literally 4 or 5 like small children naked in a tub or like in an empty swimming pool, like literally hanging. That's weird art. I don't give a fuck who you are. That's just weird art to have it. I don't give a fuck if you.
I don't care if that's Monet or fucking Picasso. That nigga, whoever
weird.
drew that needs to be locked up.
right. So I'm looking at all this shit, and then the Wayfair shit. Remember Wayfair? That whole thing.
Wayfair. My stepdaughter got my mom. Man, I gotta stop calling my wife my mom. God, that's some Freudian shit.
Yeah,
ooh, that's some Freudian shit. No, but yeah, they were like, man, this Wayfair shit. The kids. The containers had the same names as kids or something like that.
$5,000 cabinet. All I'm saying is I couldn't prove anything, but it was just weird. So I showed Mike, right? And mind you, he's like the biggest again, I gotta preface this by saying he's the biggest Democrat I've ever known the man. Ever. So he starts watching shit that I'm sending him, right? And all of a sudden he's like, bro, this shit's fucked up. Because it is. Even if there's no conspiracy, it's just weird to have that weird shit. And supposedly the Republican side, the QAnons, are the ones that are kind of saying that's why they're trying to get Trump out, supposedly, because if this shit gets out, everyone's fucked. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they're going hard to smear his name, and I still, as much as I don't really fuck with Trump at all, it's very obvious that everyone wants him out. A lot of people want him out. So everything he does is going to be scrutinized, kind of like LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? Just scrutinized. And most of it's on his own accord, but sometimes, as a guy who's not a Trump supporter, okay, you guys are clearly going extra to get him out. And that's fine. It is what it is. So then he switched, bro. He was hardcore Trump. He was like the most... We went out yesterday. We went to Walmart. He had on a Trump hat, Keep America Great Again, a Trump mask. He's hardcore. And
how does he explain it? I mean, you've obviously asked him about it.
He blames it on me.
For sending him that shit.
He blames it on me because I was the one who introduced him of another side. But what I was telling him is, first of all, you're a grown-ass man who can make your own thoughts, first of all. And for the first, couple months, it didn't like all the Black Lives Matter movement started. And then he was like, and mind you, he's half black. He's also half white. I don't know, you gotta have him on for that dynamic alone.
Yeah.
And then he starts blaming it on me because he's now being vocal about, you know what, I kind of fuck with Trump. And I'm like, I don't. I'm just keeping my mind open to both sides. I don't really fuck with him like that.
Yeah.
And he's like hardcore Trump guy now. But he told me yesterday, as much as he does think a lot of this shit's bullshit, he cannot vote for Trump. Like, if you any kind of reasonable human being, what he represents in my eyes, when he fucked up with the supremacy comment, like that was anybody who was on the fence.
Yeah.
Who are not racist at all, like actively against that, you cannot vote for him at all now.
Like, it was just so, it's like, man, like the whole country, the whole world saw him start to just like, say you're against white supremacy.
And he's never like that.
Yeah, he's never like that. He's always quick.
He's a comedian too, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he was like, and then he goes, well, what do you want me to call him? I wanted to say, motherfucker, he told you what to call him. And then I think it was Biden goes to Proud Boys. Was it Biden that said that?
No, I mean, he shouted out the Proud Boys.
No, somebody was like, somebody said it in the background. I couldn't tell if it was Biden or whoever the dude, the moderator was, but somebody yelled out, I don't know, white supremacy, Proud Boys. He goes, you know what, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. I'm like, wait. I'm like, what the fuck does that even? What does that even mean? I don't even know.
What does it even mean?
Like, I'm like, what does that mean? Has he ever?
But they took it. I'm on social media. They took it as like encouragement. Like, okay, yeah, we're ready, sir, or some shit like that.
And did you saw the gay community? They took over the hashtag.
Yeah.
I
love it. I love when that shit happens, man. Because that's how. Because Trump is the king of the trolls. That's all it is, right?
King.
He's the king of the trolls, right? And he's so good at it.
So good.
And he control anybody. People are his best friends. He control anybody, right?
He don't give
He's like
a fuck.
Eminem with the diss tracks, right?
Or Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it from Trump. And he's the king of the trolls. And so, like, the best way to take him down is just to troll his ass.
Yeah.
Troll his ass, like. Because he gets that. He gets like, oh, they're making fun of me. Like, and if he's a dictator, I mean, that's what dictators can't take, man. People laughing at him. They want it. They need you to be. They want to be respected for whatever reason, man. So I mean,
a lot of people say that when Obama, one of the correspondence dinners, he made jokes about him, about Trump, and that
he decided then, like, I'm running, motherfucker. I'm running.
Yeah. Now I'll say this. This might be controversial, but me, Caresnone. I'm gonna say it. That is one thing I like about Donald Trump. He's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want. That's my whole thing. Caresnone.
I always say, like, people hate Trump, but he's America, man. That's American culture. He is
right.
He is American culture distilled into one fucking body. And like whatever we don't like about Trump, that's what we don't like about America, man. Like we just do whatever the fuck we want, right? We're all about stunning. We're all about showing, like, pretending like we got it when we don't got it. That's Trump, man. That's so Trump.
I heard that, like, a lot of the rich people, you might know this more than I do, that they all know that's how they're, like, they don't even respect him like that, because it's like, you don't really got what you claim you got.
Yeah, I mean, he was a joke. Like, he wasn't. It's funny, like, they sucked up to him for his fame because he was what they weren't, right? There's a lot of rich motherfuckers, people richer than Trump, who aren't nearly, you don't know their name, I don't know their name, right?
Right.
And they kind of resent that because when people have a lot of money and, like, nobody still knows their name and shit, they don't want that. They want their name to strike fear,
well, I know
intimidation.
some people want, like, for instance, my good buddy Steve, he's doing well in life, but he don't like the attention like you and I might like.
Well, no, but that's a philosophical thing. Like, like, that's how you're supposed to be, right? You want the money. Like, Steve Martin says, like, if you could choose between fame and money, take the money. Like, because fame is horrible. Like, J. Cole talks about it all the time, right? Like, I want to go back to being Jermaine, right? Like, people talk about, like, how you can't walk out down the street anymore. That's fucking weird. That's weird that you can't just go anywhere you want. Like, celebrity is a kind of prison. And people don't really realize that. But you see the people in the prison crack the fuck up.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. Will Smith came out and was like, people always want to be famous and be, he goes, with a lot of the shit you don't know about. And, like, he gets sued every day. Like, his money's always in jeopardy because someone's trying to sue him. Now, he's obviously got a lawyer team and he's probably good on a lot of that. But he goes, that's a really hard thing. But he also said, as hard as it is, I ain't giving it up.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this as far as fame, because not that I'm, like, famous or anything, but I'm starting to trickle.
You getting there.
I'm starting to, like, throw a little fame in my life. And,
fame bay. You a fame bay.
Dude, between you and me, it is crazy. It is crazy how people look at you differently when they perceive fame. And the funny thing about fame is, I don't give a fuck if I got 20 million followers. I'm still Chris Campbell.
Yeah.
And the people who know me will be like, oh, that's just Chris. Yeah. Like, I bet you LeBron's family is like, oh, that's just LeBron. That's my dad, or, what I'm saying, my cousin.
Again, not to harp on comedians, but they say that about their family. Like, nobody in my family thinks I'm funny. I'm not even the funniest sibling. Like, there's comedians who have a funnier brother. Like, he was a funnier brother growing up.
Yeah, but then some of us just make the moves to, like, make it bigger. But what I have learned is, like, even, for instance, with a lot of girls, like, I'll be talking, I never lead with what I'm doing. I never lead with that, because I feel like if a guy leads with what they have, that's I don't like that. Let it shit come out naturally. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's more dope to pull up in a Lamborghini than.
But again, that's rare. I'm the same way, right? Like I'm the same way. Like you want to win a girl over with your personality,
Like,
with the conversation, like my presence. You don't want to be like, yeah, I'm famous, I got money, and then you don't have to say shit, and you can just fuck the hottest bitch. Like it's not as satisfying. Isn't that weird?
So not satisfying. And the funny part about that is, so when I would show, it would come up naturally in conversation, and like a lot of people say, like, what do you do, right? So obviously, naturally, my life's goal is this. So it comes up fairly quick because that's what people want to know.
What do you do, right?
What do you do? What your goals are? So it comes up quick, and then they're like, oh, okay, and then they don't really take you serious.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I'm like, and I show them, they're like, oh shit, and they see the number, and they're like, oh shit, like, and it's funny, you can like see the eyes, like, oh.
And they probably go, oh, so you famous, huh?
You know how many times they're, oh, who you think you famous, huh? And I'm like, so, and listen, I promise you the reason why, and my shit started 2.5 years ago. I started doing it 2 years ago. So the growth was kind of fast.
Yeah.
But I don't do it to be famous. I do it, so go back to the original story about the Snapchat. I was making these, excuse me. Then I go home drunk that night. And I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I see a couple of these guys that do what I do, make little comedy sketches or whatever, and they had me dying. And I remember drunk and thinking, why can't I do that? Literally, I'm like drunk out of my mind, like completely got the courage. I'm like, dude, I could do that. Like
well, most people are just, public speaking is the biggest fear. So most people don't even allow themselves to ask themselves that question. And I'm never going to do that.
I had to work on that too, though, man. I had to work on that. That fear is the big one. And
fear's the biggest thing, that biggest obstacle.
And it's still perspective, though, right? So it's just how you look at it. I got so many stories about overcoming fear. Like, let me tell you this ridiculous fear story. So, I was a big cat, right? I was a big, heavy dude.
How much you weigh? How much did you weigh at the time?
Back then?
Yeah.
The heaviest I ever recorded was 417. I was hefty. what do they call it? What do they call it? Chubby. I was chubby, but I was big chubby. I was really big chick. I was what's this another word for chubby? Fuck it. Anyways,
pudgy.
Pudgy, yes. I was a fat fuck. That's just what it was. So I go to Jewel on my lunch break, and I'm eating hot wings, like from the little Jewel wings.
Who does that, man? That's the first time I've ever heard that sentence, man. I went to Jewel for lunch, and I'm eating hot wings.
You ever had them?
No.
Shit. That's why you better get them, and they cheap. And they call wing-zings. They call wing-zings.
We got the parent company out here, Albertsons, and they have like a little wing bar, but they don't have a.
So it might be the same shit. So anyway, So I'm sitting there in my car eating the wings, right? And then a car pulls up next to me, and then I'm like, and I put the wing down. Like I didn't want her to see me looking like eating the wing. It's like I don't want her to think I'm a fat piece of shit slob. And I was like, and I wouldn't leave till she left or they left. And this happened a few times. And then once they leave, I start eating again. And at the moment, it didn't bother me. But as I've been trying to work on fear and judgment of others and rejection, all that kind of shit, I reflected back on those moments. Like, how ridiculous is that? Like, we human beings eat. The reason they're probably at that store is to go get food.
Yeah.
To eat. Like, what is so weird about me eating in my car? Like, that's not weird. And that was it was so embedded in me. You know what I'm saying? It was
there's a lot of that though.
Oh,
and my wife was raised with all that shit, right? So I'm always like, I'll do shit weird just to fuck with the norm, right?
Right.
Because I'm like, why are we doing that, right? And I feel like doing this. I feel like eating wings in the car. And she's like, no, you can't. That doesn't look right. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what it looks like. Who cares? Looks right to who? And who are these people? I don't even know them. Why the fuck do I care about their opinion? I don't know how horrible they might be in their personal lives.
Right. And so check this out. So an ex-girlfriend of mine, she told me a very interesting story. She was a very brilliant woman. And she told me the study she read a while ago as I'm still working out these fear things. Now, I'll never forget this shit. There was a study of a class and then a professor. The study, so the class was supposed to go in and their only job was to listen to the professor talk about whatever the topic was. That's all they had to do. The professor's job was to go teach them whatever the topic was. But the caveat was he had to wear this like crazy colorful outfit that looked ridiculous. It was like lime green, brown, red, blue. It was like the most ridiculous rainbow suit that you wouldn't think a professor would have on. Like completely, you would think that, okay, everyone's going to notice this, right? He's like, I got to wear this. He goes, yeah, just wear this, but you can't mention it. No one can mention this damn outfit. So he does the lecture, comes back, and then they asked him, they said, so how'd you feel about the lecture? He goes, you know what? I couldn't stop thinking about my fucking outfit. Like people look how ridiculous I look. Like this is, so he couldn't even give an honest lecture because or like a real one because he was too focused on what he thought people thought. So then they asked the students, what did you guys think about the professor? They said, the question was, did you guys notice his outfit? Right? I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was something along the lines of this. And I should probably go look this study up to be exact. But let's say it was like 75% didn't even notice. Didn't even notice. Yeah. Like another 10, 15% said, you know what? I did notice it was a little funky, but whatever. I was too busy listening to the lecture. And then like 2% was like, yeah, the guy's a fucking idiot. Like, what is he doing? But is that 2% of the people thinking that worth you not giving that lecture?
Right.
No one cares. That's the thing. Right. No one really cares at the end of the day what the fuck we doing. I don't really care what you're doing. You don't really care what I'm doing. And I mean that not from because you're an asshole, I'm an asshole. You got to do your shit. No, but you got to live your life.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
all we want from other people is honesty, right? Like, cause like if you look at like that fucking, you look at Mr. Rogers or you look at Bill Nye, those motherfuckers were weird. Like if you think about how they live and how they present themselves, right? But they're fucking beloved, right? We all loved them when we were fucking kids, right? Like, as long as you're yourself, as long as you're being honest, it doesn't matter what the fuck you're wearing or anything like that, right? And I learned that too. Like when I would give like these, I would MC these like poetry readings and shit like that in the city back in Pilsen for Gosamos, and I would like feel my voice shaking and I would be sweating and I'd be nervous. And then everybody, you know, at the end, everybody would clap and say, "Oh, you did a great job emceeing." And I'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here! You heard, you know." You said, "No, you were amazing." You know, people would say, "Oh, you're amazing." I'm like, "Oh, so the thing that I'm feeling when I'm up there and I'm fucking, you know, nervous." And it happened with the podcast in the beginning too. When I feel nervous and I think people can see that I'm nervous and they can hear that I'm nervous, it's not true. It's all in my fucking head, man. It's all in my fucking head. And you might be doing the best job of your life and not even fucking know it, not even be able to enjoy it in the moment.
You know, it's funny you say that because I've been on this kick and I've always been pretty honest, but I've definitely lied before. You know what I'm saying? And never normally with the intention to like, a lot of times my lies are to not hurt someone, or at least that's what my thought is. That's what most of my lies have been. I haven't really lied a ton in my life, except maybe the police. You know, I'm not trying to get shot or killed. So I'll lie to them motherfuckers. I might lie to my grandmother so I don't get in trouble, you know, something like that. But I typically didn't lie to my friends, shit like that. But just recently, I've gotten super hardcore about being brutally honest. And what I have learned is that it's probably the most powerful thing that I have learned, period. Being brutally honest to not only everyone else, but most importantly, yourself. Because a lot of times, the reason why people don't like smoking weed or they don't like doing psychedelics, shit like that, is because it forces you to see shit that you might not want to see.
No, people have told me that, right? Like I know people who are uptight, fucking anxious, they got anxiety problems. I'm like, you need to hit one of these, and they're like, no, man, you know, because I'm paranoid and I know it's gonna open my mind up. I have that shit locked tight. Like I don't want to open it up.
It's like that might be the thing you need. No, it's not even might be. That is the thing you need.
Yeah.
I'm all and you know what it really works with? Women.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, me and my wife's been smoking since 2014 every night, just dissecting life, right? Just dissecting our marriage, just speaking honest. We've taken Molly and just being honest and dissecting. She'll tell me about her work and I'll be like, you know what? That bitch is trying to double cross you. And I'll tell her about what I want to do. And she's like, and she'll give me advice. And it's just, we're just fucking high and exploring life, right? Analyzing it together, right? And man, I know couples that are going through some shit. I'm like, you guys need to smoke, man. Yeah. They're like, oh well, no, we're not like that, or you know, they're hung up on like smoking weed is bad or bad people smoke weed, and it's like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, there's a reason why the whole goddamn country's coming around with that shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? There's got to be, there's a reason. And as a matter of fact, as far as drugs and shit, I just stopped drinking 3
Yeah, I
months
saw
ago.
that.
I just stopped drinking 3 months ago. And mind you, I used to drink. I drink.
Yeah.
I would much
Remember
rather
those parties? I remember that spring break party at your house. I think I was a junior, and I was just at your house for your apartment for 3 days. I didn't leave.
I remember
I
that
didn't
shit. I remember that
leave.
shit. Dude, we used to turn up. I still
You had
turn
bottle
up.
of hypnotics bottles of hypnotic on the fridge, and I would just
At the
eat
top,
cereal, and then we party every night.
Yeah. So, dude, being brutally honest, and the reason why, and this is at least my theory, the reason why most guys lie to women, right, is because they're scared. Most of us are scared to lose them or like the entry into them. You know what I'm saying?
She's not gonna accept me how I am, so I have to present
am.
something.
But what I have learned, what I have personally learned, and I've been so much better with women with this mindset, is that I do not value your vagina over valuing myself. And I had to get there. I had to fake it till I make it.
I was gonna say, not a lot of guys do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I had to fake it till I make it, fake it till I make it. And finally I was like, you know what? I am worthy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I started really putting in the work, like, you know what? Well, I am dope. And listen, that's not to be arrogant.
Yeah.
I think we all should be dope.
There's other dope people. I'm just saying I'm one of them.
Yes, yeah. I'm definitely one of them. I'm confident. Yeah. Fuck you. But you should be dope too, though.
Yeah.
And you should be dope too. And to be honest, not should be, you are dope. You just maybe got to find your dopeness.
Yeah.
That's why my podcast is called Caresnone, Be Dope. You know what I'm saying? Because I really believe that in my heart.
Yeah.
So I don't really hear like I'm arrogant too much anymore, but I've heard it in the past. So I'm like, maybe I'm not saying what I really want to say. It's like, we all are dope. So once I started valuing myself over vagina, and then listen, be willing to walk away. Because what a lot of guys is maybe because they don't have the options or maybe they ain't get enough ass or whatever, that hasn't been a problem for me. So I've been able to say, well, look, do I want to fuck? Yeah, I do, but I'm not about to just cater to you because of that.
And you got to do that in everything. You got to do that in, you know, I know people, you know, dealing with bosses and shit, and that's how they deal with it, right? Like, hey, I'm fucking dope. You should pay me what you should pay me. But, you know, don't think you're just going to push me around. Like, I got, you know, I'll leave. I will quit this job. And that's power, man. That's power. You have to, knowing your worth, right? Knowing your worth, which is a rare quality. And the whole arrogant thing, do you think that had to do with you being younger and black? Like, I feel like people, like, we're not supposed to be confident, right? We're not supposed to be confident. And so if we're confident, oh, you're arrogant. You're boastful. I'm like, and like I said on Instagram the other day, I'm like, I'm not bragging. I'm just confident. Like, I know what I am. I'm not a lot of things, but I know what I am.
Right.
And that's all it is.
I would say I have definitely been arrogant in the past before. Okay, I've definitely been like, oh, I'm better than you, like, which is ridiculous now.
But you kind of have to start like that, right? To break out of
you got to fake it till you make it.
Yes. Yeah, you got to fake it till you make it.
You got to fake it till you make it, and you got to. And the reason I always go back to women, as far as, because that's like one of the main fundamental things that we all deal with is a relationship amongst the other sex. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, if you could understand that, which is one of the things that's innately like one of the most important things, like relationships and offspring, kids, like one of the most important things about being alive. Would you agree?
It's the thing that's helped me more than anything, right? To have somebody who knows me, is completely opposite than me, but is my best friend, and just knows me and sees things from a completely different angle, but it's always right. It's the same fucking thing, but it's always right, but it's just a completely different angle. And I wouldn't be the person I am without it. So
to the point is, that's a very important part of being a human, is relationships. Yeah. Especially, I would imagine, definitely guys. I know we always thinking about, you see tits and shit and all, you know what I'm saying? That's just, and not because we're just pieces of shit. We're naturally
we're wired like that.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not a bad, I swear to God, I'm a good dude, but I see a piece of ass.
You know I love my wife, but if we're walking down the street and there's a hot ass girl, I'm like, gonna be like, good.
Right. And that's just being honest. So once I started understanding, and it's hard for men, at least from what I've gathered, to understand women. And I still really don't, but I've put time in work. I've read books, 4 or 5 different books. I've listened to different podcasts, hours of podcasts. I've listened to all kind of shit how to understand the woman's psychology.
Isn't it great, man? The internet, man, has led to, if you use it as a tool for what it's supposed to be, a tool for information and knowledge and self-growth, instead of just looking at bullshit. Like, and I've looked, you've done all that studying on the internet, so have I, but that means we've wasted some time looking at some bullshit too, because, you know, it's just...
Oh, for sure.
It's just it's so seductive. But, man, the internet's so fucking powerful that, you know, anybody...
YouTube University, baby.
YouTube University.
YouTube University. So that goes back to that original point about the Facebook, is like, you can look at it as all this shit, and there's a lot of shit. But I don't think the internet is inherently good or bad. It's, you know what I'm saying?
It's a tool. It's a weapon. It's like splitting the atom, right? You can have like the power of the sun, clean energy, or you can make atomic bombs, right? Like,
or a fucking hammer. I can hang up a nice fucking Picasso, or I could bludgeon the shit out your head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So I just choose to live my life that way. And the reason why, if you ask me, listen, you know Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
First of all, love him.
From Canada, right? Psychologist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like, it's a professor, some shit. But anyways, he just has a different way of thinking. And I wish I was that, like...
Is he the guy who wrote Make Your Bed, or he has 13 rules or something like that?
Yeah, 13 rules or some shit. Yeah, he definitely got, or 12 or some shit. Anyways, but he made a good point one day. He goes, well, here's the thing about life. Don't matter where you go, it's going to be tough. And I was like, that's true, man. He goes, so his whole thing was, well, if you... Damn, my damn fan just went off. My bad. Anyways, he goes, if you... let's say you... I lost my train of thought. What are you talking about? Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson. Anywhere you go is going to be rough.
Right, anywhere I go is going to be rough. And the reason why, because some people are scared to make a change, like to leave their job.
Yeah.
You know, like, I got kids, man. I can't quit. You know what I'm saying? And I got to just be miserable in this job. And he goes, yes, you're right. There's risk in that. There's risk in taking. That's why it's called a risk. If you just quit your job right now and you got kids, there's a chance they don't eat. He goes, and that's tough. He goes, I am not going to lie to you. But he also goes, you know what else is tough? Not leaving that job.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the risk. You're risking not leaving.
Right. And he made this point. He goes, so think about what's going to happen if you don't leave. Then you're going to be miserable.
Right.
Then you probably die. You take some years off. Now you're in the drug. So he goes, either way you look at it, life is fucking treacherous. And I was like, damn, you know, I like hearing that kind of, I'm like, ooh, he's right. He goes, but the cool thing is about you have the choice. So why not choose the path that could potentially lead you to something good, as opposed to the path that will not lead you anywhere.
Right.
So
it's all about taking control of your life, taking control of your days, how you live your life. Live actively, like actively living. You're making decisions. You're not just following a program. Like, there's a program. There's 7.5 billion motherfuckers. Why would you think that the program would work for 7.5 billion people? Obviously, it's not going to work. Everybody's different. You gotta do you, which means find out what you're good at, what you're not good at, your strengths, your weaknesses, what turns you on, what turns you off.
And that's that
Make
honesty
yourself
shit.
better. Yeah,
that's that honesty shit. He goes back to that, you know? Like, I know what I'm fucking horrible at. Dude, I had to stop drinking because I realized it was becoming a fucking problem.
What was it? For me, it's like,
you still
if I have one, I'm going to have 10, you know?
Oh, for sure. Right. Because I've always been, let's be honest, it's a poison, right? It's a fucking poison.
It's a poison.
And it don't really taste great. Anyone who could tell me that it tastes better than a Gatorade, to me, you're fucking lying. Yeah. I'm like, what would you rather have? A Gatorade, or your favorite soft drink, or your favorite beer? I just can't see anyone saying purely on just taste that anything is not better than beer.
Yeah.
Well, unless you don't.
There's this guava beer, but anyways.
Well, but were you like Gatorade or fucking lemonade, a fresh apple juice or some shit?
Yeah.
My point is that
especially, and after you smoke weed, you know, like, oh, it's a better feeling to smoke weed. There's no hangover and shit like that. It's this thing that makes you feel like shit. It makes you feel like shit. You puke.
Oh, you spend money. So for me, it was I never wanted to. I never saw myself drinking one drink. You know, I'm always like, we gonna do this. If I don't put a condom on unless I'm gonna fuck.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not a just a tip motherfucker, right?
I'm going balls to the wall, man.
Yeah.
So and then I was broke, so I'm pre-gaming. So now I'm just getting used to just But didn't you pre-game?
No, I used to shout out to Oscar. He used to live right across from Rockies, and we would pre-game at his house because we were broke, right? And we're going to the bar, right? Pick up some girls. and we'd pregame. We got so fucking trash. We had to, instead of going to Rockies, we had to go to McDonald's, eat a couple McChickens, puke in the bathroom, then go to Rockies.
Ooh, okay. So yeah, that's how you know you fucked up.
And buy one beer and just walk around with that motherfucker the whole night.
Yeah, because you ain't got no goddamn money, especially when you're younger. So I just decided that for me though, but I went and got some blood work done, and they said my liver enzymes were a little bit high. So I was like, you know what? And don't forget, okay, so mind you, for those who are listening, I did a sober November last year, just for the hell of it. Didn't have nothing wrong. I just said, you know what? Let's just give it a shot. Because I was drinking a lot, and not necessarily I drink every day, but I drink socially.
What was the hardest part about that?
About stopping, or the November?
The November.
Probably, you know what? The alcohol, and this is going to sound weird, but the alcohol itself wasn't really my problem. It was more of what I thought it was doing to me. So alcohol gives you the beer goggles, or like not the beer goggles, but like the mask of like, I'm extrovert, just like you are. Yeah. Alcohol makes me like supreme extrovert.
Right.
You can't tell me, I'm Caresnone. If I'm drunk, I really Caresnone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to teach myself that I don't need that shit. But what happens
is the fear, right? Drinking gets rid of the fear.
So, oh man, that's what it's good for.
Yeah.
And to be honest, all this drugs is, a lot of that shit is. And listen, I'm not judging anyone who drinks, you know what I'm saying? Because again, 3 months ago, I was hammered on my mind.
And some people can drink too, and they're extroverted and they have a great night.
Yeah, not me.
I'm not like that.
Not me. I'm going to. So that was probably the biggest part for me with the alcohol. And here's what I have noticed. I'm got way more money in my pocket, like a lot more. 2, I feel good, like just my insides feel better. And 3, I'm getting a confidence because I'm beating a battle that I know a lot of people deal with, but I deal with.
Wow.
That's giving me just a confidence, like, man, so who the fuck can tell me about me being the best me when I'm actively fighting my shit? I'm trying to fight. You
realize that you can change, that you can work on yourself, and you're like, oh shit. So like now I'm not stuck with whatever shittiness I have in myself. Like, cause that's what gets people down, right? I'm a piece of shit, so I'm gonna drink. Right. But if you're like, it's like working out, it's like going to the gym. You're not gonna come home from the gym. You're not gonna go straight to fucking Burger King, right? You're gonna be like, no, I worked on myself. I'm gonna maintain this. Same thing with like, once you start working on yourself, you're like, oh shit. Like I can change myself. Like, not that you can be fake, but you can just be whoever you want to be, like the best version of yourself.
You can call it fake, but and maybe that by definition it is. But to me, being dope or being confident literally is just a choice. You know what? Going forward, but you have to do the things that make you personally dope. So for me, being dope means I'm going to work on being it, because I know a lot of people, like we said earlier, who's actively going hard body to be better for themselves. Most people are not.
Most people are not, and that's kind of part of the answer to what you were at when you asked me, like, do you think most people are pieces of shit? I mean, pieces of shit's harsh, right? Are most people not as good as they can be, or not? Or most people are decent. They're not bothering anybody, right? But they're not. They're still fucking. They're like people who haven't worked on themselves. They're jealous. They're greedy. They're all this shit that everybody comes with. So because they haven't worked on themselves. That's what I meant to say.
Well, so the reason I started this path is when I lost that weight. You know what I'm saying? That was when I first realized, oh wait, shit's possible.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of people, even today, like I lost 175 pounds. A lot of people would be like,
wow, man.
Durr! You know what I'm saying? Even I would have been like, Durr!
I'm 170 pounds now, man.
I lost you. It's like you on my back. Think about that. It's fucked up, right?
I just hopped the fuck off, man.
Man. So that was when I first realized.
What'd you do to lose it?
Calorie counting. Good old fashioned.
Yeah.
If I'm being anybody who's trying to lose weight listening on your show, or because you don't mind if I put this on my podcast, do you?
No, go ahead.
All right. So, and I know my people have already heard this, but for your people, it's literally 80% what you eat, 15% whatever working out. Exactly. It's like what you eat. You can literally lose weight and sit your ass in the house.
And most people think it's the opposite.
Yeah, I gotta run 42 miles. Well, because you can't outrun a bad diet though. You know what I'm saying? Like you just said, you go to the gym, but then you go to Burger King afterwards. You shouldn't have went to the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was all calorie counting, and it actually kind of it's simple. It ain't easy because of the addictions of the food, and they literally.
What was your addictions? Mine's sugar. I like sweets. I like
My
cakes.
shit
I like
was
cookies.
anything, bro. Anything that's delicious. Steak, chicken, broccoli if it got some cheese on it. Anything that
pork ribs, shit like that. Yeah.
Oh man, and I still love all that shit. But
You haven't changed that, right? You still like what you like.
And the one thing about, and I have a food addiction. My shit's gotten so bad that I've had to spray chemicals on it to not eat it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my shit was real bad. You know what I'm saying? I made a video the other day about a donut in the garbage. I don't know if you saw that one, but that actually happened. I've thrown shit in the trash and was like, went back in the trash and got it. That's how bad my food addiction was, right? And to me, I'm constantly thinking about, even today, it's like I'm constantly thinking about food. And the thing about food addiction is you still have to eat.
Yeah.
As opposed to gambling. You don't have to gamble.
Or liquor. You can't
Well, I know liquor might be one of the ones that's interesting because I do think if you get to a point, the withdrawals can kill you from stopping. I think I've heard that.
Oh. But I'm saying like you can't once you're off it. It's not like you can go your whole life and not drink another drop.
Right. So or like sex or gambling, whatever. And once I learned that, I'm like, oh, okay. And then it actually comes down to math. It's literally just math and a little bit of discipline and willpower to stick to the math.
A lot of discipline and willpower.
Yeah, but it's actually more simple than people think. Dude, I lost 175 pounds and I didn't go to school and no shit. Let me just tell you the story. Fuck it. I had really bad habits, and one day I went to Jimmy John's and I had the gargantuan sandwich.
Oh,
yeah, that's the one with everything on it.
Yeah, that's the only one I would get.
Yeah, I love that. But I got some chips. I think it was like some salt and vinegar chips, a cookie, and I want to say a pickle and a drink. Not the end of the world. On the way home from Jimmy John's, I stopped at Burger King. Triple Angry Whopper, extra large onion ring, 3 zesty sauces, Hershey's pie.
You like all the shit I like, man.
It's all the good shit.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that damn Burger King over there on Dundee and Wolf.
Yeah, the BK Lounge.
I used to snap. So anyway, so I would and I ate that shit, bro. I can't even imagine how many calories that is in 45 minutes. What? 7 grand maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Even like just the fries and the onion rings and shit alone was ridiculous. So I ate this shit and I called my buddy Steve, my brother, and I'm like crying, bro. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what am I doing? It was like it clicked. Like, this is the most disgusting thing I've done as opposed to food. You're like, what the fuck did I just do? And I'll never forget that. This is why he's my brother today, because he keeps it 100. You know, he keeps it a buck. He said, I ain't gonna lie to you, Chris. That's fucked up. He gave me. Most people sugarcoat it, man. Like, because you don't want to hurt people's feelings. You're not being honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, they're like, no.
People aren't being honest with themselves. They're not gonna be honest to you.
Wow, put that on the put that on the t-shirt, nigga. I might put that on the t-shirt. I'll give you some credit. So when he told me that, I was like, damn, it's the first time someone came at me, and not from like, listen, I've been called a fat fuck and shit like that. But that's not the same.
But that's not. Yeah, it's not the.
Yeah, I'm angry now. You angry, and I don't even hear.
And
that.
he's your best friend, so like, you know,
right?
You're taking it in.
And I was like, whoa. So then I'm crying. I'm like, Steve, I said, I promise. I don't know what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it, but I promise I'm gonna make a change, nigga. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna need your help. I gotta make a change, and I'm going to make a change. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do, but I'm going to make it. And he was like, I got you. So that was like the first, like, calling out, like, that was like that first, I'll never forget this day, bro. So then I went home that night, and you might remember this. I put it on Facebook. I wrote like this long fucking essay, like, my name's Chris Campbell, I'm morbidly obese, and da-da-da-da, and I went down, I let it out, you know what I'm saying? And then I took a picture of myself half naked and put it on Facebook, which to fat motherfuckers, that's like the scariest thing in the earth. I still have an issue with that right now, you know what I'm saying? But I put it in, I remember I wrote this thing, and I'm like, and it's the words are just flowing, right? And it took me, no joke, like a legit 10 minutes before I pressed enter. I'm like, am I about to send this shit?
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, I walk around the house like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? The fear again. Like, what are they going to say? Like, everyone's going to see me in my most vulnerable state. Like, that's the scariest thing in the world.
That's the scariest thing in the world.
Saying?
Oh, you're vulnerable.
My biggest one. And I was like, you know what? Caresnone. Bing, press that bitch. And I shit you not. The way I describe it, this is exactly how it felt. It felt literally, I know it's cliche, like there was a weight off my shoulder. I felt lighter. I swear to God, that's how I'm like literally, as soon as I pressed it, I'm like, whoa, and I just felt good. And I felt at ease for the moment, right? So I went to sleep kind of chill, had a great sleep and everything. Woke up the next morning like, oh shit, I forgot I did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, they had the whole night to read that shit. See, they've been looking at all the bitches, been looking at the picture, like, oh, they gonna see it. So I go on Facebook and I'm like, oh no, like, you know what I do? The overwhelming love and support, bro, was uncanny. It was so ridiculous how much love it was. And half of it was like and now I'm used to the comments and likes now, but back then 150 likes for me was like, what? Yeah. It was like 60, 70 comments. And here's the thing, half of the comments were like, you're an inspiration to me. And that was my first taste of you can inspire people by just being honest.
And working on yourself. It's almost like a cheat code.
No, it literally is. That's all I do. That's all I do. And it just grows. You be honest with the intention of, number one, helping yourself. I'm very honest about it. I'm trying to fix my shit, man. This world's short, and I would like to just get the most out of it while I'm here. And to me, from what I've gathered, is to work on your shit. And the more I work and beat shit, and then I put it out there, people keep fucking with it.
Yeah.
So now I come out that I'm an alcoholic. I put it out there. Losing weight, put it out there. Working on women. I talk about the shit that embarrasses me, right? The things that most people wouldn't dare say.
Like what?
Like I don't know, like for instance, being an alcoholic, a lot of people couldn't come out and just do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or to come out and put a picture of yourself when the thing you're most scared of is how people look at you in your body. Like, to me, that might have been one of the biggest things I've done as far as beating my fear was that day. And then look what it led to. And
that's what I was gonna say. That weight was the fear, right? That weight was like weighing you down, and once you ditched it, now you're like, oh fuck.
And listen, I still got it. Listen, I'm not like yo ad. If I had to pick like a physique, I'd probably gonna pick yours over mine. But I still made a change, and I'm happier than I was when I started.
Right.
And that was the beginning of shit's possible. Shit's possible now. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then once I started getting some positive affirmation or positive reinforcements, I want to say, from other people, dude. So at first, I came across his website. So I'm like, what I got to do? Like, I started Googling shit. Weight loss success stories. And the first thing was like, oh, I ran 6 miles a day. I'm like, nope, not doing that.
Yeah.
Next, I ain't right.
Good for you.
Right.
Delete.
Like, not doing it. And then there was another one like, I had the surgery or whatever. I'm like, not doing that. One, I ain't got no money or insurance. 2, I ain't doing that.
Fuck a knife, man.
Right. So I did all, and then I came across this one website. I was like, okay, what's he talking about? It was called 344pounds.com. So I'm like, all right, what are you talking about? And the headline of his page was, how I lost 100 pounds in 1 year. And I'm like, okay, let me see what you're talking about. And then he started off, he's like, my name is so-and-so, so-and-so. I was 344 pounds. I've tried every diet under the sun, Atkins, South Beach, whatever, all these things. Most of them didn't work. And the few that did work, once I got off the diet, I gained it back. And then most of the times more weight, right? He goes, and so none of that shit worked, but calorie counting is what helped me and keep it off. Now, at the time, I've heard this before, right? But here's what made me click with him. He had a picture of himself on YouTube, literally going like this, with his shirt off, and you saw him like every 2 weeks do another video, and you saw him fucking melting.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so there's that proof. So one, it's really hard to hear weight loss shit from people who've never been fat. It's hard to do. This dude was clearly out of control, about to die. You know, the reason he was making this change because he had a kid, he didn't want to die, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, so he's got I could see it's working. I could see, and then he started talking about the calories and then understanding the math behind it. And once you understand the math, it's easy. I'm about to make it very clear for everyone listening. Something called a BMR. not BMI, BMR, basal metabolic rate. And what that means, fancy way of saying how many calories does your body need to stay at its current weight. So for instance, when I was 417 pounds, my BMR was 4,400 calories a day to stay at 417. So if I wanted to stay at 417, I had to make sure to eat 4,400 calories. Cool thing about our bodies is we're going to burn calories regardless. Even if you're sitting on your ass.
Your brain, man.
Right. That alone, right. You need the energy, right? So I'm like, okay, so it all just making sense now. I want to say it's 30, I think it's 3,500 calories burned or gained equals 1 pound. I think it's 3,500. So all I had to do was get the deficit from 4,400, and then so what I started doing, I would eat 3,500 calories, which is still a lot.
Yeah.
But when your number is 4,400, 3,500, so every 3 days I'm losing a pound like this. You know what I'm saying? So then I'm like, oh, okay. And it literally is that easy. Find your BMR, and so you just Google it. Go on Google, type in BMR calculator. They got apps and shit. You put in your age, you put in your activity level, and your gender, and they give you a basic number, and then they'll give whatever that number is. Eat less than that. It's just it's that simple.
No, yeah, but like, because everybody, it's almost like the sexier the diet, South Beach or paleo. The sexier it is, the more people want to believe that it works. They don't want to believe that something so simple as counting calories works, but it's just very simple.
And to be honest, all those
because
diets,
maybe they would have to do it then, right? If the diet is so complex, I can't do that. It's so complex. No, just count calories, and they're like, fuck. Now you're forced to do it because it's so simple.
And here's the thing: most of those diets, you're eliminating something, and you're eliminating the things that have high calories half the time.
Right.
So whatever diet you're gonna have there's no other way to lose weight than to have a calorie deficit. Period. Yeah. That's the right. Only unless you like cut it off with a knife. You know what I'm saying? And what I learned is that the reason why we're fat is because our bodies are actually dope. Here's what happens. Do you know what energy is? Do you know what energy is? Like what it actually is? I didn't know what the fuck it was.
No. What is it?
It's a unit. It's a measurement. It's a unit measurement of energy.
What do you mean? Calorie. A calorie is. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Calorie is just energy. It's a unit of energy.
Right.
For instance, gasoline has calories. It just has like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands. But all it is just a measurement of energy.
The calorie is how much, if it's stored energy, that's a stored calorie, that's fat. Right. If you burn calories, that's how much energy you use to do this activity.
Right. So here's why we get fat. The reason it's not because you're just a fat. I mean, I guess there's some conditions, but most of us, we're fat for this reason, because our bodies work too well, and you've been giving it too much gasoline, and then the body says, whoa, nigga, we don't need all this gasoline. So what are we going to do? We're going to store it because one day we might need it. So then you get it here, and it's not because your body don't work. You've been fucking up. You giving your car too much gas.
Like, where do you want it to go? If you're eating all this food, where do you want it to go? You're not gonna shit it all out.
And it ain't like we out there, like back in the days where we're hunting and gathering and we're running from shit. Like we're at the crib chilling at work.
Right.
Sitting.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people who eat fucking 5,000 calories in their fucking bodybuilders, but they burn all those calories. You see what I'm saying?
Well, like Michael Phelps, you said you took in 7 calories in that one meal, that 1 hour. He eats like 7,000 calories a day, pancakes and shit.
But he's, I guarantee you, swimming is like one of the best fucking workouts.
He's in the pool like 10 hours a day.
Didn't you swim?
No. I mean, I was a swimmer, but I wasn't on the swim team. No.
Oh, okay. So once I learned that, I'm like, oh shit, all right, it makes sense. You can eat Twinkies and lose weight.
Yeah.
It ain't necessarily the healthiest way to do it.
Right.
I don't know shit about cholesterol. I don't know none of that shit. All I know is that if you want your body smaller than what it was, eat less calories, period. And there's a number to find it. They make it so easy for you. They got apps in MyFitnessPal. You literally, you can just take pictures of shit and they'll be like, oh, that's got this many calories. Everything's got calories.
And the other thing is that you took baby steps. Like people, they'll try to drop down a 1,500 calories a day. And it's like, dude, no, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like nobody's that strong.
Unless you got, if you that dope, I know some people probably go hard body, and if you can, good for you, but you don't have to.
Right, you don't have to.
A lot of people will say losing weight too fast is bad.
Yeah, there's a number per week, right? You're supposed to not go over more than like
2 pounds I want to say 2-3 pounds a month or some shit, something like that. That's like the safest way for your skin because the elasticity. You shouldn't, so like 100 pounds. I lost it kind of quick, and I have now loose skin because of it. But rather, that's a problem I'm willing to have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But once you just learn the math, it's actually easy. The hard part is the temptation, and then another hard part is when you lose a little bit of weight and then you get complacent.
Yeah.
So
that happens to me to this day. It always happens to me, right? I'll be working out. I get down to a nice weight, and then I'm like, you know what? I can eat this whole fucking cake. I've earned it.
Yeah, that's that. You earned this shit, right? I totally get that. And what happened with me is it was girls. Like, it was one of the biggest reasons. I'm like, dude, how the fuck am I? I'm prom king. People like me. I'm one of the most popular people around.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks I'm dope. How come I'm not fucking these women? Or like, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting friend zoned by all the baddies. What is that? All my friends, all the boys, all y'all was out there living y'all best life. And I'm with y'all, but how come I'm not living my best life like that, right? So that was what finally got me. And then once I started to get a little bit more, so then I started losing weight. And then it was like 5-10 pounds. I'm like, okay. And it was you just feel it first, like in your little belt. We're like, all right, you can't really tell yet, but something feels different. And then 20-30 pounds. All of a sudden, shirt's a little bigger now.
Yeah.
40-50 pounds. All of a sudden, you hear that first motherfucker say, you losing weight? That's all.
Matter of fact, I am.
Yeah, as a matter of fact. And so then that happened. And all of a sudden, it was 70 pounds. All of a sudden, I'm like, damn, nigga, you killing it. And then all of a sudden, like 100 pounds, now the women are like, that their energy towards me is different. And I'm sure it had a lot to do with me looking better, but it definitely had more to do with me being confident in myself. Because now I'm happy. I'm walking around like, yeah, nigga, I'm doing something vicious. And I think that is the ultimately most attractive. And then 60 pounds, or 160. And I'm like, so now I'm a new human being. Now
I was just going to say, I'm like, you are the same person you feel like. Obviously, but you're not though, right? Because you've learned the self-discipline. You've learned about yourself.
Right.
So you're a different person. But also to the outside world, you're a different person. You're not,
like physically a different human being. Like if you've seen me, dude, I didn't, and you don't realize it, man, when people get big, bro, and because it kind of happens gradually.
Yeah.
With bad habits, and you just then you kind of just accept it, and then, and I know I did, and then it's even worse when you're liked. It's even worse when you're liked, and you're like, do I need to change? Everyone likes me for being, it's like, I don't know, but it's like, whoa. Once I started beating that demon, bro, the whole world changed for me, because now, well, what can I do now? What else can I change?
That's what I was gonna say. But don't you find that you kind of had the seed of that mentality because of how, your childhood, my childhood, we went through some rough shit and survived it, and we're still good people and people liked us, right? And so we realized, oh shit, horrible shit can happen to you, and it's not the end of the world. You're actually gonna survive it. You can come out stronger. And then once you start improving on yourself, you're like, man, from what I've come from to what I'm doing now, anything is possible. Like
anything. KG, that's like his thing, right? I don't know if it's Adidas or Nike or whatever. He's like, anything's possible. Remember, he says for the Celtics. So true, man. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. Being practical, I can't jump off a building and fly. So that's not physically possible. However, they got things that you could do to help you do it.
Yeah.
I can get a jetpack, or I can get one of them those fucking, what do you call those things that the white dudes be doing? The extreme sport shit.
Hover pack? What do you mean?
Well, those, but I'm talking about
the paragliding or the wingsuit.
The wingsuits, yeah. Like, you can do that and then technically fly. So it's like, dude, shit's possible. And this is gonna be a little bit off, maybe some weed smoking shit. It is what it is. But I kind of have this theory of the simulation theory.
Yeah, we don't know if we're living in a simulation, and we probably are living in a simulation.
Dude, listen, I know that's far-fetched.
It really isn't. I mean, it's a popular theory in science, because look, if AI is getting so much better, right?
Right.
So it will get to a point where, like, anybody who's played GTA 5 knows, like, man, shit's getting way better, right? So we can imagine that in the future that there's going to be a video game that's going to be exactly like the world, like 0.5 billion AI, right?
Right.
And so if that's going to happen, it has happened in the future, and we are that simulation.
Yeah, who's to say? And then here's what makes that easier for me to grasp is, one, who could fuck tell me that it's not real, like factually.
Nobody can.
Right? can't factually tell me that it's not real. But then number two, I have learned that if you work on this thing, the mind, you can change the shit. This is gonna sound crazy too, but I feel like in a weird way, I can tell the future because I know that if you find whatever it is that you want to do and go look for, especially because of the internet, you can practically do it.
It's like the Secret, right? Everybody's talking about The Secret. And it sounds, I mean, the way they describe it, like whatever you want, you the law of attraction, right? Whatever you want, but it comes with the discipline too, right? If you want something and you have discipline, you're going to take baby steps to get it. Mm-hmm. And eventually you're going to get it. And you're like, oh shit, this thing I've been thinking about and chasing came to me, but it didn't come to you. You actually went to it.
You went to it. Yes. Yes. Going back to the simulation theory, dude, it's like as soon as you put the time in, and you got to be, again, being honest, that's the theme of the fucking show. If you're honest, are you really going hard at what you want?
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of going hard, and if I'm being honest, I ain't going hard enough, man.
Same. And what is that? I mean, me and my wife talk about that too, right? Like she feels the same way in her career, and it's like, you know, it's a lack of desire. We're like, you know, because you do reach a point where you're like, you know what, I'm okay without the fame, I'm okay without the money. And once you start thinking that, and really ambitious people, Jay-Z never had that mentality coming up, right? He wanted the fame, he wanted the money. And now he has a luxury maybe to have that mentality, but he didn't have it coming up. No. And so did we get that peaceful mentality too soon? Is it hindering us, right?
Man,
that's tough, right?
That's a good question.
Because there's people, you know, the people who are after it, they have no life outside of what they're doing. They have no life. They cut off friends. They cut off family. Yeah. They don't date. They don't do nothing, right? And, you know, for me, I'm like, well, I don't want to, you know, if you're an athlete, same shit, right? If you're a ball player, it's all you're doing is playing ball all day, right? Jordan, that documentary, he was at the gym till 10 o'clock.
Savage.
Right, every night.
Right.
And I'm not doing that. You know, I'm trying to live my life as much as possible too. And so you're giving up a bit of the dream, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. I had a podcast on my shit. By the way, it's called the Caresnone podcast, available on all platforms.
Check it out, guys. Check it out.
Actually, hey, I started in November. It's doing pretty well, man. So I don't know. It's my favorite. I don't know about you, but podcasting might be my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fits our personality, right? Like we used to do this in study hall.
We did this already.
We would talk to people. Remember we would talk to like the quietest girl in the class and just like sit with her at the table. And be like, you know, you would talk to her, and they liked it because nobody talked to them, right? Nobody talked to them, and we think everybody's interesting, right? We can talk to anybody.
I swear to God, I feel that way. Everyone's got a story that's dope, right?
Yeah.
So
because I'll invite people on the podcast who maybe they've never been on one. A lot of people have never been on one, and they go, "What am I gonna say? I'm like, don't worry, man. I'm inviting you on because I know we're gonna have a lot to say, you know. And it always goes like way over, and you know, like, man, I didn't know, you know, that was so much fun. I'm like, yeah,
every time. The cool thing about and because I get that all the time too, you know, like your podcast has had more guests on than mine. I have 2 co-hosts. The reason I like my
I'd love to have that.
So the reason I think my podcast is kind of different and cool is because there's 4 dynamics to it. There's one with me and Matt, one of my co-hosts. Then I have another co-host named Derek. Then I have the few every now and again by myself where I'm just talking into the camera. Yeah. And then I have the ones where I bring guests on. You know what I'm saying? So
that's perfect.
It's so different because you don't know which episode is this one. So I thought that was kind of a cool little thing. But the people always say when I do get people on, like, oh, what are we gonna talk about? Same thing. I say, first of all, that's what I'm good at. I fucking talk. Sometimes too goddamn much. You know what I'm saying? But for a podcast, that ain't necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
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 And I say, and that's my job as the host.
I'm a host. People don't understand the idea of hosts.
Yeah,
like when you come to my house and I'm hosting you, you're gonna have fun. Don't worry.
Yeah, just sit your ass down.
Don't bring anything. Maybe bring a bottle or something. Just relax. You know, I'm hosting you.
Let me do it. Let me do it. But to go back to the original point about sacrifice, to be like, me and Derek had a podcast where we were talking about what it means to be like uber successful at something. You almost have to be a sociopath about it.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be like where it's like you're sick, where like I'm like nothing else. And to get to that amount, like if you're trying to be Jay-Z, LeBron, Jordan, you have to be a sociopath.
Right.
And do you want this? And I'll argue, I don't know if I desire that level of what the fuck
I'll be
I'm
honest
doing.
with you. I know I don't.
Because I want to sometimes play some 2K. You know what I'm saying? I want to come fuck around, you know what I'm saying, turn up a little bit. But I also do want to go harder than I am. So the question is why do we, let me ask you this. Why do we, I know it's your show, taking over your show. Why do we know what the fuck we supposed to do and still don't do it sometimes, a lot of times?
Priorities, right? Priorities. I mean, it's the thing that we want to do is a priority, but where does it fit on our list? Yeah, I mean, you just said it. Like, I mean, the reason why we want that stuff, we want the fame, we want the money, is because we know our worth, right? We're like, if these motherfuckers have tons of money and tons of fame, I'm just as good as anybody, right? So I should just get that too. Yeah, I'm not an ego. It's just I know what I am. I'm not less than anybody. Nobody's better than me. I'm not better than anybody.
Equal.
We're all, so if you got something and if I want it, I should go get it, right?
Right.
But two, like, yeah, I don't want to be a sociopath, right? I love my wife. I like being a normal person. I like hanging out with people.
Right.
I mean, I like smoking weed. I like chilling, And so it's all about what do you want more consistently in your life, right? Like you might want fame and money sometimes, these so many hours in a day, but what you want to do consistently and what you do consistently, that's your life. That becomes your life.
So I've been blessed in my life that my one of my good buddies is doing well in life. You remember all those Limitless trips we had? Those Vegas trips that we all did for years?
Yeah.
And we did them extravagant.
They were called Limitless trips?
Well, we called it Limitless because like the limits were endless. Like it was so, well, not even because of the movie. It was literally like we had this situation where we're going to Vegas and we're living like we're Puff Daddy for a weekend.
You'd have like a penthouse at Caesars and shit or whatever.
It was at the Palms. It was the Hugh Hefner Sky Villa, fucking $40,000 a night, and we did it for the weekend, and we did this multiple times, and it got so big to the point where we got 150 people to give us $1,000 a piece to come party with us. That's how big it got, and we thought, I mean, we had fucking all kind of performers. We almost had Nelly. We had. I got a video of Nelly shouting Limitless out for that weekend that he was coming out, so we had Soulja Boy, we had the Yin Yang Twins, like, and listen, are they fucking Jay-Z? But no, well, who the fuck are we, right? But it was still cool. Yeah. And so we were given, it was all you could drink. You had the hotel, you get the room, you get entry into this villa where we had these parties and shit. We go to Hakkasan, these big clubs. So the reason I bring that up is because I got to kind of experience that money life through Steve. You know what I'm saying? And like he never liked attention like that. And I've always give it to me. I want that shit like crack. Give me the attention, right? For whatever reason. Probably because of trauma or whatever, right?
Yeah, and insecurity, right? I mean, it's an insecurity.
For sure. So give it to me. So he let me. It would get to the point where we would all be at the bars and the clubs and shit, and then like the VIP host would come in, and then obviously Steve's paying bills, but then Steve would be like, no, take care of Chris, like make sure he's good. So he just made me a made man, you know what I'm saying? So I got to live and feel like a boss quite often. And we gone on these lavish trips, and it's all because of Steve. It ain't because of me, because he clutched me. But what it was huge for me is I got to experience that the money ain't really, because all that Vegas shit, as much as it was fun at the moment, it's kind of bullshit.
Vegas is bullshit. I know I live here now, but it's bullshit.
Especially that club shit, right?
But no, literally, like the buildings, they look fancy and everything, but they're cheaply made, right? You knock on that shit, it's hollow, right? Like nothing's marble, nothing's fucking, real. It's fake. Everything is fake in Vegas.
You don't think those
the tits are fake in Vegas? The lips are fake.
The tits are
the Aria, yeah.
I feel like some of the nicer ones they spend a little money on, but you're right.
But most of it,
right.
Yeah.
So I got to learn that, and now our favorite vacation spot is Nashville, which is so different. That's where you go drink Bud Lights and all the white people wearing boots and shit, and cowboy hats. But I got to kind of to get past the I need to be rich phase. I do want to make enough money to be good. You know what I'm saying? I want to be just, I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, I want to travel. I want to have the nice house. I want to be able to give it, share with my family and friends, make sure they're all right.
Or like when someone, I'll never forget, Steve said this one day. He goes, I'll never forget, it's a great story. He goes, Chris, let's say you had $10,000 and you invested it and into something, and it turned into $50,000. He goes, you know how hard it is to not go buy a paid for BMW at the time or something like that. I'm like, hell yeah, I want a BMW. He goes, what's really boss though is when someone comes to you and goes, hey man, we can make fucking $1 million right now. Do you have 50 grand? We need it now. And I was like, now you got 50 grand. So what's more important, that car that no one really cares about? And I've made that mistake by buying a car that I thought
we all have, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm driving this Infinity. I'm somebody. No one cares.
Nobody cares.
The bitches don't care. And the ones that do care, you probably don't want them in your life. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah, that's such a paradox, ain't it?
Dude, could you argue the older you get, the more you're like unlearning shit?
Well, some of us, yeah. But a lot of people, I know people who still go to the bars, men and women, who are still living like it's 22, 20. Oh, yeah. It's like you seen behind the scenes, you've seen the code of the Matrix, right? Like
that's a good way to look at it. I saw the code, right? That's how it feels. I'm like, oh, like even like going back to women again, because it's the thing that makes the most sense to everyone. It's like how I thought I was supposed to act to women, how the Disney movies teach you. I was raised by all women, right? Like, I lived by my grandmother.
Me too, yeah.
All women, no male figures in my life at all whatsoever. So I just had this understanding from the female's perspective of how to handle females, but that wasn't working for me like that. But once I had to learn a different perspective, so I had to unlearn some of that shit. Like, for instance, my whole theory back in the day was, I'm going to prove to you, lady, that I can love you. You should love me because I'm going to take care of you. And it's like, and they even say they like that shit, but that's not really what they desire.
Nobody knows what they want. I mean, it's not to pick on women. You couldn't find out what men want hanging out with, listening to what men say they want, right? Oh, I want a bitch with big ass and titties and like.
Right.
But when it comes to being married to somebody, you don't, you want somebody who's gonna hold you down, right?
Right, 100%. So when I learned that shit, I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, so then I started implementing these new things that I had to unlearn the old shit and then all of a sudden life got better. Or like just like lying. Growing up, you don't want to say nothing to hurt nobody's feelings. And it's like, what's funny? If you be honest, they actually respect you more.
Yeah.
Like even especially with women, if you tell them that as we talked about earlier, guys lie to women specifically a lot. When you tell them the truth, the paradox is they actually like you more.
Yeah, and because that's their biggest fear. What I can tell is that one of their biggest fears is like, how do I know if this guy's telling the truth? So if you say something that's honest, like why the fuck would he say that unless it's honest?
Dude,
they're like, and they'll get pissed, they'll huff and shit like that, but they'll call you back.
They'll call you back. They gonna call you back if you're true, if you're honest. And again, and I think the reason why is because most of us are lying.
Yeah.
To
ourselves, to everybody.
Mostly to ourselves, right? But going back to the idea of women, and I always go back to the women because that is what helped transform my way of thinking with because that's like one of the hardest things to figure out.
Yeah.
Like I still haven't figured them out, but I just think I know more because I studied though. I put the time in.
You worked on it. You worked on it, yeah.
Hell yeah, I've read books on body language. You know what I'm saying? Like it got bad because I had my heart broken, right? My heart was
Yeah. I've had one of those too. You have to have one. You have to have one. Because then you start respecting them.
You're like,
then you start respecting them.
I'm like, oh shit. And again, everything that ever happened between me and girls, as far as me getting left, it was me, man.
Yeah.
And it didn't like to use that same point in other aspects, dude. A lot of times the problem is me. I would argue most of the time I've been the problem.
Well, you can't, there's so many things you can't control. The only thing you can control is yourself, how you perceive something and how you respond to something. That's the only thing you control. And so like this person leaves you, they didn't do this, that, and the other. What didn't you do? What could have you have done? I mean, most people don't turn that lens on themselves, man. They're always blaming the world, the system, everybody.
I used to, and
I used to be like that too. Yeah.
I blamed everybody, dude. I used to be a thief, dude. I used to blame.
Used to be everything.
I blamed everyone for everything, and as soon
we're angry. We were, from the childhood, the trauma. We were angry, like we didn't deserve it. So like, fuck, the world fucked us. Fuck the world, right?
And then being dark skinned in white America, it's even a little bit tougher too. So at least that's the perspective, the mindset. But it's like, you know what? Fuck all that. Even if that statement is true, that I believe is true, that it is a little tougher for people of color in this country.
Understatement, yeah.
Very, very obviously. But with that being said, that don't mean it ain't possible.
Yeah.
you can still turn up in this bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, is it fair? Not fair? I think we both.
What are you gonna do? Lay down? What are you gonna do? Lay down? Say the world is tough. Say it's gonna burn you up. What are you gonna do? Lay down? Are you just gonna burn yourself up before you can give the world a chance to burn you up?
Dude, the tough is the dope shit. And my grandmother tried to put me on, man. I learned this, so maybe she triggered it in me at an early age, but I didn't get it until I was on my own. Dude, the bullshit is where the good shit is. It's like the bullshit is right behind. I read a quote one day, and I'm about to fuck it up, but it was something along the lines of, I promise you, if you just get 10 minutes of insane courage, just 10 minutes of undying willpower to have courage, I promise you something great will come from it. And I read that and I was like, okay. And I'm like, man, that just kind of hit me a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like going way back to when I first pressed that button for Facebook. Like that took a lot, man. That shit was, and I would have never thought that. And as soon as I was like, fuck it, 10 seconds, took me 10 minutes, boom, life changed.
And had you never done it, who knows where you would be?
Probably, I would hope that maybe it was embedded in me, but it had to start somewhere, you know? And like, it can go back to like 2020. Everyone says it's a shit show, right? 2020 is a shit show. And I understand what they're saying. It's so different, right? Everything's off. Motherfuckers dying. This COVID shit. I get it. The shit's tough. But the way I look at life is, man, the tough. Look what's happening. Other than the people losing their lives, because that's fucked up. Especially because of the administration and making bad decisions.
Right.
That's fucked up. And people not doing what they're supposed to do to help the problem. That's fucked up. However, a lot of good shit's come from this year too.
Personally, I was gonna say, like, I was gonna say, like, as a country, we're like, oh shit, if we survive, if we get through this, and if we elect Trump out, I think he's gonna win. But say he loses, we're gonna be feeling ourselves, man, because we're gonna be like, man, we lived through the worst thing anybody alive has experienced,
ever.
And we're still here.
Right,
we're still here.
Still here.
But go ahead. You personally, you said what?
No, and so personally, stop drinking.
Yeah.
Wait again.
Yeah.
I've grown my podcast. Like 2020 has been dope.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
that feels guilty, doesn't it? I mean, me and my wife feel the same way. Like, you know, we're fixing up the house. I started this video version. I'm like, man, you know, before the pandemic, I was like, man, I want one day do video, but I'll never do it. And then pandemic, I was like, everybody started doing video from home, and I was like, fuck, I'll do it. You know, I have a home, I have a background, right. And that I never would have done video podcasts had it not been for the pandemic.
And I could argue the same thing. For me, and this is my first time ever even being on Zoom ever, right? And thank you, by the way.
Oh yeah,
I remember when you were like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "Damn, I kind of want to do that too."
Yeah.
But then it was like it's just new, you know. It's foreign to me because I've always done it in person, in my little studio thing. But I'm like,
that's a dream for me to do it in person. Yeah. I feel like the conversation just flows better, right? I mean, if we were together, body language, all that shit.
Although, right now, I could argue that this is much better than I thought it was going to be because I thought there would be some of that lag. But I feel like I don't really feel that right now. I feel
No.
But I've seen other podcasts, like on Joe Rogan's too, of all people. You listen to Rogan?
Yeah, but I don't watch those in-person ones because they're horrible.
Well, you mean the conference ones?
Oh yeah, the conference ones.
Yeah, well, and I don't know how he hasn't figured it out. Like his shit's always it's like a weird latency. I don't know. But then other podcasts I don't. So I'm like, Rogan, what are you doing? Like you're like the Godfather shit. You fix that shit. So I was always like, well, I don't want to do that shit either. And I know Rogan's always been hardcore. Like I want to have it always in person. He's always said this. I don't want to do the video conference shit. Fuck that. Unfortunately, the world we live in now,
that's how I see it. I felt the same way as him, right? I'm like, oh, the video shit's bullshit.
Right.
But everybody has to do it. So I was like, all right.
You have to do it.
So I jumped in. And now here I am.
And now I'm jumping in because of you. So again, thank you for that. So with that, what the fuck we talking
about? The pandemic made everybody better.
Oh, just the shit.
Oh, some people, not the dead people, but.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the caveat is, listen, I'm not saying that shit ain't off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But so going back to the original point of the bullshit makes us dope. I go out of my way to put myself through bullshit.
Yeah.
One of the things I take cold shower every day.
I don't do that.
Dude, let me explain to you why it's life-changing. It changed my life. I've been doing it for 3 years now. I know. That
I'm
face,
getting cold. Just think about it.
Wait. That face you're making right now is the reason why you should try it. Because you're like, that's fuck. So when I first started this whole thing with the cold showers, I would tell people, and they would be like, "Oh, not me, not me. I can't do it." I'm like, first of all, you can do anything. That's my first thought. I was like, you can, and I got my buddy Steve to do it, and then I'll never forget a comment he goes, "There's two types of people in this world: people who take cold showers and people who don't." And he was saying that like kind of with a joke, but if you can't even attempt to try something that people are telling you that it will improve your life, but you're so stuck in your way that it's not uncomfortable, right? Because the cold shower is extremely ridiculous. It's uncomfortable.
I mean, I've been to Honduras where they don't have, they don't have plumbing, they don't have heated water.
But
at
that's
all.
different though, because that's out of necessity. I have a nice warm shower, you know what I'm saying?
You're choosing it?
I'm choosing it. So the whole idea is, let's talk about the positive benefits. 1, it's great for your skin. 2, it's great for your hair. 3, you get a bolt of energy. I don't give a fuck how tired you are. I don't give a fuck what you drank the night before. I don't give a fuck what drug, cocaine you did off somebody's asshole. You will be up. You will be up in that cold shower. But here's the best part about it. I take that cold shower on purpose every day on my own accord. No one's making me. My fucking environment's not making me. And it's brutal every time. It's never easier. How is that when me talking to that girl at the bar, or me talking to my spouse, or me talking to my bar? How is that more vicious than that cold shower? It's not. It's not. And the cold shower is 5 minutes. So that discipline of like, so go back to the original point. I'm always trying to like
make yourself uncomfortable.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's vicious, bro. That's vicious. Once I started,
Seinfeld has a thing like find the level of torture that you can accept.
Right, and then I would argue step that
and push
bitch.
it.
Yeah. I would say step the. Another thing I do. There's another one, dude. I stopped masturbating.
Ooh.
Painful, right?
Yeah.
Since we've been beaten off, since we started, we damn near doing it every night. It ain't even like spouse. It don't matter. We all doing it. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
But the discipline of like, I want to do it right now, and it's so easy right now. It's on my phone. I can just look on my phone. I get big TDs. I like I like Pogs. Perfect as white girl. I like Pogs, nigga. I go right. I might get Pornhub, get my Pog, and I'm good. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Great.
Any ethnicity, any race,
whatever you want. Braces.
Yeah, crazy.
I click on braces. I click on Pog with braces and glasses. I'm like, yeah, super ridiculous. And so I tried that. I was a pescatarian for a hot minute. You know what I'm saying?
I did that.
For someone who's a vivid meat eater, that was painful. Trying I've done a bunch of different shit. But my point is, I've done shit because I'm like, the more, how about this? This is even small, but it's kind of big for me. I'm so into making myself uncomfortable. Let's say I'm driving down the expressway, and let's say somebody like cuts me off, right?
Yeah.
And then I pass them up. What's your first inclination?
To look at him. Yeah.
Who
the fuck is driving this car?
Right? This happens literally daily. I say, don't look. Don't look. As if possible, don't look. Don't look. And I fail sometimes. But I'm like,
no, I don't look. I don't look anymore. I don't look anymore. Because it's like, you're in your car. I don't know. You're in your car. I don't give a fuck. Like,
okay, so maybe that's not your issue. But to me, it's like, or like, for instance, last night, I'm on the way home from the city, and this motherfucker kind of cut me off on some speed and probably some young person shit. And he cut me off kind of vicious. And I pressed the gas. I want to go catch up for what reason? All it's going to do is get me in trouble probably. The odds are it's not going to be a great situation or nothing. But then I'm like, wait, calm down. Don't do that. That's stupid. What can come from that? What, he's going to get out of his car? You can talk to him. Like, nothing can come from that, you know? And it's just, I constantly think about shit like that all the time.
Couple steps ahead. Just a couple steps ahead.
Just make myself uncomfortable, man. Or how about, did you ever heard of a float tank?
Yeah. It's supposed to be amazing for you.
Bro. It's like a psychedelic drug without the psychedelics.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you don't feel your body, you don't feel anything. You're just yourself in nothingness, right?
I always say it's like heroin. It's like heroin. It's like meditation on heroin. You're forced to think. So, and that's even scarier than those cold showers where you tell people, okay, you try to go, no, I'm like, because to be by themselves and most people have never been in that situation.
Yeah.
You know, even if you were in your mother's womb or, you know, you still feel gravity or you still hear something. So this sensory deprivation chamber, when you go in, for those who don't know, you get into this chamber where there's the water, you're floating in this water that has a ton of salt in it. So you're floating, right? So you feel no gravity. then it's the same temperature as your skin, so you can't feel.
You don't feel
Um,
anything.
You can't see anything because it's pitch black. You
Right.
can't smell anything because you can't smell anything, and you
Can't hear
taste,
anything.
and you can't taste anything, and you can't hear anything. So you literally, and it's for an hour. I've heard people do 6-7 hours, which is really insane. But even 1 hour is kind of a lot. So when and Joe Rogan is like, he talks about this all the time.
He does it all the time, yeah.
He does it all. He has one in
He
his
has
house.
one, right?
And he probably got one in that new studio he got.
And he always tells people, "You want to get in it right now?"
Dude, and he always says this, and it's so true. I'm shocked that that's not more of a thing for like everybody. It's like, and
it creeps people out when he tells them about it. He creeps people out.
Because what do they say every time? They go, "Oh no, I couldn't."
I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. Yeah.
To me, I was like, my thoughts are dope. Yeah. Even the shitty ones, because again, go back to the point before this one. The shit makes us good.
Well, you started to see that, right? Like when back when we were drinking a lot, we drank to kill our thoughts too, right? To kill those shitty thoughts.
Right.
And now we see that there's gold even in those. So now that's, I drink, but I don't drink as much anymore. So I'm okay with my thoughts now. I'm okay with my thoughts.
And once I learned that shit, and let me tell you the story. So I go into the place, and it's like a metaphysical center. It's like one of those massage places, super like you go in there. It's like got the nice little tunes in the background. Everything's
waterfall.
It's like one of those kind. It's really like, damn, this is nice.
Is that lavender?
Yeah, right. So then I'll never forget. The guy goes, he's I'm here for my 1 o'clock appointment. Yada yada. He goes, you want to listen to music? And I'm like, well, no. I thought the whole point was not. He goes, you sure? I'll never forget that. He goes, you sure? Like that. I'm like, I mean, should I? He's like, all I'm saying is you want the music or not. And he like tried to scare me. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, I've done acid and mushroom. I'm like, it can't be more vicious than that, is what I'm thinking. I'm like, no, the whole point is to do it. If you're going to do it, right? He goes, all right. So I go in there, take the shower, get in this little fucking, and they got pods and they got rooms. I went in one that was I've been in both. The one in the room felt more comfortable. It's less claustrophobic because it's like a big ass room. But then there's another one that's like a pod where it's just you. Those I can see up that'd be more scary for people. But the room is like, all right, so they have an option for the people who are like super freaked out about it. So I get in there and I'm all set up, butt naked, laying this thing. The lights come off. In that first like 5-10 minutes, I'm like, whoa. Then you realize you've never been this alone ever. In your whole 30-something years. For me, I ain't like this. I'm like, I don't think I can do it. Like an hour of this? That's what I'm thinking. An hour of this? But then I'm like, so I know me. I'm like, first of all, think. What's an hour? You've spent 3 hours scrolling your phone.
No, but they just found out that you're talking to yourself in there. And they found out that a lot of people can't talk to themselves. That it's actually not so common an ability to be able to have that conversation with yourself in your head. Because that's why we would be able to do it, right? You'd be able to.
Yeah, I'm just talking to
myself. Think of funny shit, right? Yeah,
right. It forces you to think about shit too. And the cool thing about anything psychedelic like that, I'm an advocate for mushrooms.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate for any psychedelic safely.
Right.
I'm trying to do DMT. Like as soon as I find the DMT safe, I'm definitely doing that shit.
You heard of the Toad? You watch Mike Tyson?
Mike Tyson? Hell yeah, bro. And look how it changed him. You know what I'm saying?
It changed him completely, man. Now he's like Confucius.
Yeah, he's like so fucking dope.
Yeah.
Talk about an interesting. If I can get that motherfucker on the podcast,
he's probably he's the most interesting man in the world, right? He's seen it all. He's done it all. He was a heavyweight champ. And now he's so wise.
The wise part makes him more interesting, but I could argue Trump's pretty interesting too.
Oh, yeah.
And not from like, I like him, just like have him in a room to talk to that motherfucker be very, like, bro, what do you got going on?
They met, he's been at Tyson fought at the Trump Hotel and like, there's video of like Trump introducing him and they're sitting in the front row. They're sitting in the front. There's a video, it's a Tyson fight. Trump is sitting next to Muhammad Ali of all people.
Yeah, but before he was a president, people fucked with him. It's like
everybody fucked with him. Everybody, Democrats, Republicans, everybody.
Yeah, you
Autobot, Decepticon, everybody.
Right, you probably shouldn't be the president, but I mean, you was that nigga before you got ridiculous. But anyways, so I'm a super advocate for anything psychedelic, and I've never. There's a dude named Duncan Trussell, got a great podcast. Yeah. So I fuck with Duncan Trussell, and he goes, the way he described what a psychedelic experience is made the perfect sense. He said, so you take this psychedelic drug, and what it does, it's like, let's say you're in a helicopter, right? And then you're overlooking this huge city, let's say you're over Chicago and you see the whole city. How about this? Even better, New York. You're in a helicopter, you see the whole bird's eye view of the city, and you are in the helicopter, and the city is your life. And here's what he said. He goes, and you get to see everything from this kind of perspective. And he's like, oh shit, over there in the corner, there's a burning building over there. Oh shit. No, you know what I'm saying? Oh shit, that's pretty.
That needs to be put out. Yeah. That needs to be cleaned up down there.
And then you're like, oh shit. And then you, when I've taken this, like, it's like, that's so true. But you will see some shit if you can take it in. Like, I know I can. Like, I like the shit. Oh, that's what I got to work on.
You got to love yourself, and you got to know that you're imperfect, and you got shit, but everybody's got shit. And just love yourself, man. Be like, hey, forgive yourself for having that shit.
Yeah, because we all got it.
Yeah.
From Donald Trump to LeBron James to me, you, to whoever's listening to this, we all got shit. No one shit is, your shit might be easier as far as survival, but it ain't easier as far as to deal with other than survival.
Because it's your shit. I mean, it weighs, everybody's shit weighs the same to them.
To them.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, just to them. A lot of people, who was it? On the, I think of the Rogan podcast, it was Arian Foster was on the Rogan podcast, and he was saying that if he had the choice to play football again or be something else, he wouldn't play football. He goes, the money, he goes, nah, he goes, he kind of what we were talking about earlier, he goes, fuck that money, man. It actually made it tough for me. Like, it made his life harder. You know what I'm saying? So that's just crazy how you can get to that perspective. But the psychedelic...
What happened to Dave Chappelle, right? That's why he gave up that $40 million for the third season. He's like, I got too famous. Yeah,
for him, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, they were trying to... And then the problem with Famous too, at least back then, I think it's starting to change now because you can kind of do it your own way with...
Yeah, there's all these bubbles now. So nobody's all over the internet anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. So
there's people who don't even know about Cardi B. There's millions of people who don't know about Cardi B. Like, you know, old white people.
Especially in the world, you know what I'm saying? In the world, like, most people probably don't know who Cardi B is. I bet you... Let's say
Germany and shit like that. Yeah.
I bet you 6 billion people have no idea who Cardi B, you know, that, which is crazy. Because in America, that, like, everyone knows, you know, but
that's good to keep in perspective, right? Like, don't worry about it. Like, you're not all over the world. The whole world doesn't see you, and there's that fear that the whole world sees you.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
and again, go back to that point. I think I already said it. It's not because they're pieces of shit. They are trying to live their life, man.
Yeah.
And listen, I still have moments where I'm like, how can you do that to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm like, man, that's kind of fucked up. But then it's easy for me to get to a place where I'm like, you know what, that motherfucker. That's why I don't really hate. This is gonna sound crazy. I don't really hate racist people.
No, I'm the same way. Yeah, go ahead.
Because it's like, bro, they were taught that shit clearly. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody inherently.
It's coming from somewhere, right? Yeah, the racism wasn't invented in their lifetime, and they adopted it. Like, they went to go, you know, like people go buy shoes. It's been around forever. It's just like. And, you know, they hate me because we're on far ends of something, but it's the same fucking thing, right?
And we're being dictated. We're being told, like, for instance, think about the old lady in Alabama, Alabama, Hodunk, Alabama. Her and her husband, all they see is the news. Yeah. They don't have any people of color. Their whole town is whatever they are, the white town, and all they see is the shit that we see on the media. And, you know, we all know how they portray people of color and anyone who wasn't a rich white man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. How they portrayed that. So imagine what they would think.
And that's not even for racism. They need to show it's a story that they're selling, like a fucking TV drama, like black people looting again, Mexicans stealing jobs again. Like, it's just a story.
Yeah, and it's just like not even remotely true. And I'm not gonna say none of that shit is true. There's obviously some truth in that, but that's just not the story. Especially me. Like, there ain't nobody can look at me and tell me I'm like a looter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like. And listen, I'm not a looter personally, but I can kind of sympathize. Like, motherfuckers pissed off.
Oh, for sure.
Fuck your property. You know what I'm saying?
So people say, like, oh, why are they burning down their neighborhoods? And then the fucking comeback to that is like, it's not their neighborhood. They don't own that corner store. They don't own that house. The bank owns everything.
Did you see that black girl who made that video that went viral? And she goes, you guys saying, she goes, fuck your Target, fuck your Hall of Fame. He goes, as far as I'm concerned, you can burn this motherfucker to the ground because that shit ain't ours. It's actually very powerful. And I'm totally going to bastardize what she said. But she was like, everyone always talks about the looting, but we're not talking about why motherfuckers are looting. You know, or the standing for the flag. Well, why are motherfuckers, kneeling for the flag?
But that's to go back to the whole personal. Like, people see personal shit in their own life, like, you know, and they don't see, like, well, what is the cause of that? And if people don't do that in their personal life,
definitely
they're not going to do that societal, right?
Good point. So that's kind of like with me. I like to try to, because that's my perspective. And again, it's the right way or wrong way. I don't know. It's just the way that works for me. Once I went to this, I just felt happier in life to see that shit. And again, you have to be. And again, I've been doing it for a while. So it's gonna take some time, man. Ain't nothing worth having you're gonna get overnight. Like our podcast, think about both of our podcasts in 10 years.
Yeah.
Think about that.
No, but like Joe Rogan started his in 2009, and I didn't hear about it until like 2015, 16. And it's only blown up since then. So he's been doing it. He was doing it at the bottom of a fucking pit for years.
Did you see the first episode? Did you ever go back and look at the first episode?
Yeah, he's like on a couch. It's grainy. You can't hear him. You can't see him.
I love seeing that.
Yeah.
Because from what I'm gathering from success for anything, you just got to do it. Keep on doing it.
Well, he got that idea from Tom Green. Tom Green would do a show from his house.
Yeah, Tom Green was on the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. And so it's like, dude, you can be successful in anything if you just put the time in and stay consistent. Then you're gonna have that.
And make yourself uncomfortable and deal with that being uncomfortable. Know that, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm growing from this. Like just like when you go to the gym, it's not comfortable to lift weights.
No, it sucks.
It's not comfortable to get on the fucking treadmill, but you're getting better.
Right. Or same thing with running. I started running a little bit in the last year or two. Again, remember my story about the losing weight? I always told myself, fuck running. That's the worst shit. Remember in high school, they made us run. I was always...
You would just walk. Like
remember the LC shuffle? Wait, motherfuckers are walking faster than I'm shuffling.
Yeah.
And then I would have a big group of motherfuckers. But anyway, the point I'm making is if you do anything, at least in my life, when it comes to losing, like even losing the weight, you're not going to lose 170 pounds overnight. You're going to do, you're 5, and then you have that negative self-doubt, and that creeps into all of us. Even on this podcast, with your podcast right now, I had the little butterflies. I'm like, this is the first time I'm doing it. Like, what is it going to, it's new, so for me, it's little butterflies, you know what I'm saying? As soon as you get into it, now, okay, this is probably what I thought it was going to be, but you got to do it, man. You got to make that leap of faith. I should find that fucking quote, man, because I'm telling you, it was life-changing. I love quotes.
Yeah. No, and I'm a quote person too, and but a lot of people don't. They'll hear a quote, and it's just a quote. They don't. You got to be. Your mind's got to be open to receive words of wisdom that click in you, because people are gonna hear that quote and be like, oh, it doesn't mean shit to me, because their mind isn't. They don't have that receptors open.
Yeah, that's probably a good point, man.
That's fucked up, and it's fucked up, But that's what I'm saying. To go back to the very beginning. Are most people fucked up? For various reasons. It's not. I don't blame anybody, right? But culture, society, the environment, the way we're trained, the way you're living your life, and the way I'm trying to live mine is we're not trained. Nobody ever teaches you to do that. You're not trained.
There's no pamphlet to life.
Yeah,
right.
You're taught the opposite. Just go along, follow along, do what we're doing, follow the group. Don't be different. If you're different, you're gonna be in trouble. And it's like.
That's why Caresnone is going to work, bro. That's why it's been working.
I like that name too, man. Caresnone, man, because that's.
I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
Because once I got the little following, I started putting out, then it caught on. Because if you were fucking with me when I started saying it, it's just a thing that's easy to. It just works, man. It can work for some. It could be it could be an asshole thing to say. It could be go fight your demons. It could be go do what you want to do. Caresnone, I love you. It could be anything. But to me, what Caresnone is do what you want to do and fuck the opinions of anyone else.
Amen.
And I can almost argue good or bad.
Well, that's the whole appeal of Trump, right? That's Trump's appeal. He cares none. And that's a good quality about him. I mean, should he care about what activists are saying? Yes, of course, right? He should care about what people are saying.
Especially as the president of a bunch of motherfuckers. So
right, but that whole thing of I'm gonna talk off the top of my head, and you're just gonna get my unfiltered self. That's so refreshing as a politician. Yeah, we hate what he's saying, but that whole attitude is refreshing, and we'd be dope if the Democrats had their own Trump, who was like a Democrat or liberal, and was just like that, talked off the fucking top of his head, but had said good things. But had that still cares none attitude.
Like whether you fuck with Obama or not, one thing you cannot deny is that he was presidential.
Yeah.
Even fucking the Bushes and Trump has been so against everything. It's so different, which is refreshing. But the problem is, at least from what I've gathered, is that maybe taking it too far. And when I guess you don't realize how much power the president has, and not necessarily what he can do, but how many people follow that motherfucker. It's like, I haven't heard one white supremacist saying, I'm going to vote for Biden. Have you heard that? Is that a thing? Is that even physically possible? So to me, it's like, if you are, I'm not going to sit here and say that if you vote for Trump, you are a racist. I will say that if you vote for Trump, that might not be your biggest thing. Because if your biggest thing is, I just can't fuck with racism, how could you fuck with it? It just seems tough for me.
You know, a lot of racists are voting for Trump. All racists are voting for Trump.
Ain't no racist voting for Biden.
So if you're voting for Trump and you think you're not racist, you just know that you're voting for it with a lot of racist people. Like they're all marching to the polls with you. So, you know, and there's a saying in Spanish, you know, tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are.
Say it in Spanish.
Dime con quién anda y te digo quién eres.
Sí, güey, sí.
It's a Spanish saying. Tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are. And, you know, if you don't want to be a racist, I wouldn't be voting with racists because they're voting with their own racist agenda. So if you're voting for the same thing, what are you voting for?
Man, go back to that point with Trump when that little debacle he had about that white supremacist comment. It's like, man, he probably could have done a good job. Like, not saying that it's probably already was decided by most of us or whatever, but
he could have squashed a lot right there.
He could have helped the people who are on the fence. Because I've heard people say like, damn man, I can't fuck. I was on the fence, but when I heard that, I just can't. I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah,
it almost feels like he don't want to fucking be. Did you hear what he said yesterday? He went on a fucking tweet spree, bro, and he just seems crazy. I don't know if you just heard they're about to like try to get him out of the office, saying he's saying he's unfit.
Oh yeah, the 25th Amendment, right.
Yeah,
and I saw he pulled out of next week's debate for some fucking. It's going to be a town hall. He pulled out of it. He's throwing a tantrum, saying he doesn't want to be in it.
Dude, let me see what this motherfucker said, and I was like, what? This motherfucker said, all right. So you know how he was supposedly he got over COVID or I don't know, some shit, right? He goes, I'm back because I am perfect physical specimen, and I'm extremely young, and I'm so lucky in that way.
He's just delusional, right? I mean,
and that's when that super delusional, nigga. First of all, whatever. You're definitely not young, nigga. Like, yeah. Nigga, like. I'm young compared to your ass, and I feel old at times.
Right.
Like, there's no way your 74-year-old ass is young. Nigga, you live life.
And a perfect physical specimen. Perfect. Compared to who and what?
This nigga's a Greek goddess. All aboard the Trump train. You know what I'm saying? And then he goes, I'm so lucky in that way. So it's like, you're delusional. What if, hypothetical, what if you don't want to do it no more? What if he's like, no, let me just throw his fucking wrench in this bitch.
No, but I heard that he didn't want to be president to begin with. He thought, okay, I'll just parlay this into like a talk show, you know, build my brand. And then when I hear he's miserable being president. He hates it compared to what the life he had before.
Everyone loves him. He's
partying, all this crazy shit, you know.
Bitches, yeah, he's grabbing him by the pussy.
That's why he don't even stay in the fucking White House, right? He stays down in Mar-a-Lago. He don't like being president, man.
Right.
He doesn't like being president.
It's like, bro, and so I can't wait to see what's about to happen.
Yeah.
After this,
what do you think's gonna happen?
I don't know, man. I could see. Do you think a civil war is imminent?
Imminent's a strong word, but I mean, we're the closest I ever thought we could be to a civil war. I mean, there's people.
Like there was never a thought it would ever be close. It feels close ever. Yeah, you're right.
Because like they got all the guns, man. You know, there's people on our side who have guns, but we're the peaceful type, and they got the guns, man.
But I do think we have more numbers, though.
Yeah, we got way more numbers, and
more numbers.
I'm glad to hear that there's a lot of people in the military too who aren't down with him, and people who are cops guns. Who aren't down with him. Right.
Yeah, like, nah, bro, we ain't going with that. It's like, man, and I wonder do you think he'll flip? Let's say he does not win. Do you think he'll be like the guy who will go on podcasts more and tell the story, or do you think he'll still? Well,
the fear is that he's not going to leave, right?
Which is crazy.
Can you imagine Trump gracefully accepting defeat?
Hell no.
No, he's going to say it's rigged. He's saying it now. He's setting it up. Right. He's setting it up. So he's like, oh, the mail-in ballots, they stole it. So that's coming, right? But will he flip and go on a podcast? I mean,
Well, my point of asking the question is, you know how all the presidents kind of keep that president vibe? Like Obama don't really come out and do a ton of shit. Like he'll make his little cameos here and there, but he don't come out and do podcasts and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Not really.
Which he should, but he's not as honest as Trump is.
That's the problem. That's the problem. And listen, a lot of people give Obama a lot of shit because maybe he didn't do a lot for people of color and shit or whatever. And I don't know the truth behind that, but let's just say that's the truth. Dude, how much do you think the first person of color, the president, gonna come out here and just change shit? Like, hell no.
No, that he's still alive is a miracle. It's amazing. Like, he did a great job. He did a great job staying alive.
I thought he was dead for sure.
Yeah, I always thought that.
Which is fucked up. That's
because we're thinking about that. We're thinking about that about ourselves, right? Because we look like Obama, right? So like, we're talking about our own chances of being president.
Right. And first of all, I would never want to be the president. Would you?
Never.
It's too ridiculous. I'll be an
It's
advisor.
an impossible job. You can't win it. You're not gonna do a great job in it.
Yeah, you can't. And even
the machine's too big, and it's already going. You're not.
We gotta change it up. You think we gotta change it up?
I think we gotta change it up.
How do you go about it though? That's the fuck. That's the hard.
Well, a revolution. You can either have a mini one or you can have a real one. But I mean, there's rotting in the foundations in the walls that say, you just gotta fucking renovate this motherfucker, tear down some walls, right? We put the floor in it. I've been doing some DIY shit in my house. I'm talking about renovation. So you gotta fix everything, man. We all know at least on our side, we know the country we want to live in. But you ain't gonna just turn this motherfucker to that direction. You gotta fucking rebuild the motherfucker. You gotta rebuild it.
Bitch out. I was talking to my buddy Steve, and I'm like, dude, two old white dudes, unfortunately, might not be the way to get this change.
Yeah.
You need some young cats and maybe get a fee. You know what I'm saying? We got to go from what's been to at least, and I think they tried it with Obama, and I feel like people were so pissed about Obama being in office for 8 goddamn years that it felt like Trump was a direct, oh, okay, motherfuckers, let's get Trump. Fuck you. At least that's how it felt to me. I can't prove that, obviously.
I think there's two problems, and it came to me like this week that, they kind of came together in my head this week. That there's too many people in this fucking country, right? And we just think different things. We want to live in different countries, right? Like the Trump people, they want to live in a completely different America than we do, And 2, there's this whole idea that all politicians are corrupt, right? So that just splits the difference. There's 2 parties, so that makes it a 50-50 chance for both parties. So if everybody's corrupt and we live in 2 completely different countries, the country's just going to seesaw back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And nothing's going to happen. You're going to get to live in your country for a while. Then we're going to get to live in ours and back and forth, back and forth. But that's not building towards anything.
Has it been mostly Democrat, Republican, like with the presidency? Does it do that pretty much every time?
We haven't had a non-Democrat or Republican since before the Civil War, right? So it's been Democrats and Republicans since the Civil War.
No, my point is, but does it go Democrat and then Republican?
Well, FDR was president for like 12 years. But yeah, I mean,
Wait, he was 12 years?
Yeah, he was he had that. After him, they changed the rules so that you can only have 2.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was president from 1933 to 1945. He died in that motherfucker. But yeah, he's president forever. And they kept reelecting him because we were in the Great Depression, so they kept reelecting him. Then we went into World War II, so they were like, fuck it, we need to keep this motherfucker, right? He helped us out of depression. He'll help us in the war. But anyways, yes, it's gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, it'll go 2 Democrats in a row, Kennedy died in office and he got replaced by Johnson and he got reelected, in 1964. But then it went Nixon, Republicans for a while, then a Democrat, then Reagan, then a Democrat, Bill Clinton, then a Republican, George Bush. So it just goes back and forth, back and forth, and it's not building toward. It's like if you go back and forth on your diet, or you go back and forth on anything, right?
Anything, right?
It's not going to build towards anything
at all. I'll tell you this: I didn't realize that Trump was taking like Reagan's whole formula. You ever seen 13th on Netflix?
Yeah.
So
With DuVernay, right?
Yes. Yes. So I'm sitting there watching this shit. I had seen it before when it came out, and it was extremely good. For anyone who hasn't seen it, 13th is extremely powerful. But I remember watching some of the clips of the past, the Reagan years. he had to make America great again. That was his slogan, right?
Yeah.
You would think that you were looking at today's shit by looking at that old. It was like it felt like I'm in Bizarro role. Like it's the exact same shit that's going on then with the race issues and all. It was like, whoa. So it's like Trump literally just took his playbook.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have a degree in history. I read a lot of history, and you were gonna say this, but I think you stopped. I mean, life is a loop, man. Things keep coming back around. Like if you keep your eyes open, and on the long term, shit comes back around, and like that we have no sense of history is so annoying.
Right.
Because yeah, Trump, everything's Trump's so fucking news, man. You could have seen Trump coming a mile away.
Right, mile away. Hey, bro.
We have to cut this, man, because we've been talking for 2 hours, bro.
And we always knew it was going to be. We'll do another one, man. You come on my show one day. Fuck it.
For sure. Let everybody know where they can find you at, man.
You can find me on anything, literally Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube,
Grindr,
Twitch, fucking Tinder, at Chris Caresnone. Chris Caresnone, one word. I do a lot of comedy shit.
Yeah,
I do a lot of
those skits are hard. I mean, I tried to do one skit a couple months ago, and it was hard. I thought I was, do you write the lines? Do you ad lib at the time? What do you do?
So again, I didn't go to school for none of this shit. I'm just going on a whim on all this shit. So with me, it's I feel like the smart way is to get lines, but most of them have been just have an idea and I'll do like one character, and I have to like remember. That's why it's smart to actually write shit down. So
that's how I did it. But it was hard, man. I was stuttering. I sucked at saying lines way more than I thought I would suck.
Well, the thing is, everyone's like that too. That's the misconception. The problem is when you see one of my videos, it seems so clean, but like, no, bro, like I'm fucking up. But you edited it. The editing it's the motherfucker.
Like I'm gonna edit this thing afterward, and that's where you create it. That's where you create the thing.
Now, are you gonna cut shit?
No, I don't cut shit.
So what? Like, how are you gonna post? Like, because maybe I gotta do it too. How are you about to produce it or production?
Well, I'm gonna take this video. Like I told you, I take this video, take the two audios. Take my video, and I'm gonna do it in Final Cut Pro, and just do two camera angles and cut back forth, running the two separate audios.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I'm at the okay.
So there's 4 tracks.
Okay. Just like I use Adobe.
Okay. Okay. Adobe Premiere or something like that, right?
Yeah, Adobe Premiere, the cloud. It's like $20 a month. It's super dope, and I'm taking this course right now to really learn it instead of just kind of bullshit. Like now I'm like learning it. That's
what I should do because there's so much shit in Final Cut Pro. Like people make movies on it, like legit movies, and it like on Adobe too, right? And there's so many features. Like I don't know everything that
all those fucking buttons. There's a billion buttons.
I don't know the buttons in my fucking car. You think I'm gonna know fucking Final Cut Pro?
If you take a little course though, there was this one. It was on CNN, and I know we gotta get out of here. It was on my Facebook, and it was like we're giving an Adobe Masterclass course for $39 when all the pandemic shit started. I'm like, $39? I use this shit, and I'm like, all the $39 to learn some shit. I took it, bro, and I'm only on the first. I get this 6 courses in this one bundle, $39, mind you. That to me, that's cheap for information, especially when you need it.
And how much have you spent on other bullshit, like a night out at the bar and shit? It's funny how you spend you'll drop $500,000 at the bar, $39 to fucking learn a skill. You're like, I don't know, $39.
Especially for the shit that I'm doing. It's like you clearly I didn't know how to do this shit well, and already I'm only 60% done with the first course, and I'm leaps and bounds better editing. Like my shit, you could tell like, okay, he must have learned something, and I'm only 60, and I still got a lot more to learn. So it's like, whoa, okay. But y'all can follow me, Chris Caresnone. My podcast is the Caresnone Be Dope podcast. That's literally my favorite thing to do. You can find that on all the platforms. And I got some merch coming out soon. So
yeah, I saw the hats. I saw the shirt. I mean, we didn't get to talk about your fucking. I wanted to talk about the wings that you've been trying.
Oh, yeah, we'll do the next one.
Yeah, for sure. And I got to come on your show too, for sure.
Well, it ended up being the exact same thing. So we'll just do this another time.
Yeah,
literally the same shit. It's the same thing.
Right, exactly. No, but I mean, we could talk for fucking hours, right?
Easily, because think about if you were at the house or I was at your house, we would be talking the whole fucking.
We'd go all night.
We'd go all night. I gotta go dig. It 15 hours. I gotta go to sleep.
All right, man. It was good talking to you, man.
Bro, I appreciate you having me on. Your shit is dope. I listened to about 2-3 episodes. You should get Mike on too because you and him will have some real good political.
For sure.
And he knows how to do it without getting he'll be able to talk to you. I think you guys would have more of a political.
Yeah, I really want to talk to
I
him.
know your
I mean,
shit's more of that, right? Typically.
No, I mean, I try not to be too political, but yeah, I've been writing politics for a while, so I kind of went down that one lane. But yeah, I mean, I try to keep it loose, right? Have different, and I would love to have Mike on because I want to find out how that happened. How do you go from being radical Democrat?
I can't wait to, because I'm gonna listen to this shit. I'm gonna be in the background like, you lying motherfucker.
Please do be in the background saying that shit.
Yeah, I swear to God I will. I swear to God I will. I'll tell him. I'll make sure to let him know.
All right, man. Have a good weekend, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Peace.